Hey, welcome to the Black Spinner Circle vidcast. I'm Al Horta, my co-host Andy Rodriguez below me. How are you, brother?
Hey, I'm doing all right. And not only is this another Wednesday, it's Al Horta's birthday.
Yay! Happy birthday, Al!
Thanks, man. Cheers.
So Al came up with today's topic, which we share topics every other week. So Al, look, what are we doing today?
All right, since I like doing themes like for every month. So since it's June, the 6th month of the year, I wanted to do top 6 bands with your favorite top 6 bands with 6 album runs that you think are awesome. 6 albums in a row that you personally think are great albums. It's a great run. Not just some that have 5 great album runs, for some that have 7, 8 album runs that you might like. But I'm narrowing down to 6 since it's a theme 6. The 6 is the theme here. We were supposed to have Jerry on here for the 6th person, have 6 people on here, but he had to bow out tonight. So I threw my daughter Kayla into the mix, even though she doesn't have a list. She's just gonna hang out with us for a little while, and then
cool.
Yeah. So Kayla, how are you?
I'm good.
All right. Everybody's been asking about Knowledge Nerds, and we gotta film another. We've been procrastinating. Actually, every weekend we've been busy, and then like we get home and it's like I'm kind of tired to film an episode. So, but I think we might even move it during the week or something. When we're not so busy on the weekend. So anyway, but we have the great Eddie Canestracci here. Hi, Eddie. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. It's great to be here. And did we just that Chris guy just
we lost Chris?
It's all right. It's all right.
He'll be back.
We all need him. Anyway, I'm doing great. And, I'm just so happy. Me and Al were just hanging out. Just a couple nights ago, we saw the Pat Travers band and some other acts that played after him.
But, Pat Travers definitely stole the show. They were the MVP of the night, definitely.
Yeah.
But
I like the other shows.
But just when his 45-minute set was over, Eddie and I were like, he was just getting warmed up, man.
Getting warmed up. Pat Travers just warming up. I want to see him as a headliner, so we definitely got to check that out.
Yeah. It was Pat Travers, Cactus, and Foghat. So in that order.
How was
but yeah, definitely Pat was the one he was my favorite of the night, and Eddie's as well. So
yeah. But I did enjoy the the Cactus, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
I saw Foghat like 15 years ago when Charlie Hune, who used to be the singer in Ted Nugent's band after Derek St. Holmes left. And I like that lineup actually better. I liked it with Charlie. This guy, he was good, but I don't know. It was Eddie kind of described him as like kind of like what did you say?
American Idol.
American Idol, like kind of.
Yeah, he has a little touch. Like technically, the guy has a great voice, and
So like when James Durbin was in Quiet Riot.
Yeah, it's just a little too slick, a little bit too like feels like a Vegas kind of entertainer, like just a little too a little too on point, a little too good in a way. Yeah, I like a little scrappiness. But that guitarist in Cactus was really good. That scab guitarist, he was great. I liked him, and but obviously Pat Travers.
He was in Wild Cherry, who had.
Well, that's the Foghat, the Wild Cherry guy. Fog Scab. Yeah, Fog Scab was Wild Cherry guy.
You talking about Cactus though? The guy in Cactus was great.
Yeah, that guy. I didn't know who that guy is, but whoever that scab guitarist in Cactus is, he's great.
Yeah.
That guy was really playing good. I liked him a lot. And that was a fun show. I liked it. So that was good. But Pat Travers was the best. And he was really Pat Travers. That's what I like about it.
Yeah. All right, man. We got Chris Elio from Redbeard Videos. What's up, Chris? Glad to have you back on. I think he's frozen. Are you frozen?
Maybe he's thinking about what to say.
I don't know. He looks frozen.
Yeah.
He might be having some internet issues. All right, Joseph Staub. How are you, brother?
Doing good. I'm here.
Chris,
Chris is back on. Hey, Chris, can you hear us? He's like very choppy.
He's in the middle of Pennsylvania. They probably don't even have proper Wi-Fi.
I can speak. I can attest
I
to
can
that.
barely
We
see. I don't know if you guys can hear me at all or see me regularly. I'm getting
Yes,
all kinds
I'm
of
seeing you
delays
right
here.
now. I'm hearing you. I'm seeing you and hearing
My
you.
studio has been a technical nightmare for the past week, so
He's going in and out.
Yeah.
so
We'll let Chris.
The last Chris, maybe.
We'll let Chris sort his.
yeah, I don't
issues
know
out.
what's going on here. So
All right, man.
Joe?
He said hello.
Doing good.
Okay.
Doing good.
And Andy, man,
Hey.
how's your week been?
My week has been great. I've been waiting to be on here for this episode. I'm so excited. I was supposed to be on the BS sessions on Sunday, but I got a little ill, so I wasn't able to make it. But hopefully we keep doing those on Sundays. But the big thing on hand is tonight here on Black Spinner Music Vidcast. So here we go. Ready?
Yeah. All right. So before we get to the list, I share a birthday with a few rockers today. I just wanted to show. Today's birthday is also Kenny Wayne Shepherd's birthday. June
Cool.
12th. Kenny there. We got Bunny Carlos of Cheap Trick. That's his birthday today.
Hey.
Oh.
And Brad Delp.
Oh,
Rest
wow,
in
really?
peace. Yeah, today's his birthday. Is what would have been his birthday, but it's still his birthday. But he's not with us anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, and then a couple presents I got. I got this Eddie Van Halen shirt.
It's nice. Very nice.
With the shorts.
Oh wow, I like those. And what's that?
An AC/DC pool float.
Oh, that's awesome. It's my favorite band. Very cool.
Cool ZZ Top shirt.
Oh, you don't see these
Top.
top shirts that much.
Yeah.
I got one. I'll have to wear it next time on the show.
Eddie will appreciate this one. He'll appreciate this. AC/DC beach towel.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look at that, bro.
Nice.
And
No cover. Nice.
and a cool Black Sabbath book.
Oh, that looks really cool.
Yeah, man. So I got some cool rock and roll gifts today from my wife and Kayla. So I just wanted to show them off and before we got started. So
That book looks like a book of seances.
yeah.
It's got the tiny writing
I
there.
didn't really go through yet, but it's got a lot of cool pictures. Oh, look at that one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some cool pictures and stuff in it. So yeah, man, that's my my gifts I got, and thanks to everybody for being on for my birthday. So
Yeah, my gift to you, Al, is being on the show.
Oh man, your presence is the greatest gift of all, buddy. I'll drink to that. Cheers.
Very spiritual.
All right, well, let's get started, man. We'll get started right away. So this doesn't take like 3 hours. So.
I'll just wait for Chris to come back on. He can slide in and out.
With what?
I don't know what you need to do.
No, you're just hanging out for a little while. You didn't make a list, so you know.
Maybe Kayla could just say 6 albums she likes in general.
Yeah.
Just to keep with the theme as a little prologue.
Just name off 6 artists you've been like listening that you love. Well, who we're gonna go see like in a few months?
Korn.
Like, she really likes Korn.
Yeah.
Korn.
Rob Zombie.
Rob
Okay.
Zombie.
Melanie Martinez.
Melanie Martinez is a pop artist. She's going.
No, she's not pop. She's alternative.
Okay. Well, alternative of today, but
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, well, some of them are kind of like Japanese type artists, J-pop. But there's one named Musume, and then AKB48.
she loses me on this stuff.
Yeah, she doesn't listen to J-pop.
That's why we do knowledge nerds, though. We give each other homework assignments, and we go ahead.
David Bowie.
Yeah, you got your Bowie shirt on.
Yep.
She's really been getting into Bowie.
Yeah.
I love Bowie. Bowie's great.
My first introduction to David Bowie.
Yeah, her first. What was it? Labyrinth.
Yeah,
Yeah, Labyrinth. You know.
And everybody loves him as Jared, the Goblin King.
There you go.
Seriously, everybody had a crush on him.
On the Goblin. The David Bowie Goblin. Yeah, that's right.
Is that 6 that you named?
No, it's 5. And then probably gonna shock to some people, but Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal Corpse.
Oh my God, we're like all over the place. Very diverse.
Well,
taste.
and she's into like classical too. Who do you like in classical?
Wow.
Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky.
Oh, intense.
Yeah,
I
man.
like a lot of
She
music.
she shocks the shit out of me sometimes, man.
You know,
The
have you
Cannibal, the
you know,
Cannibal Corpse is a bit of a shock.
yeah, Cannibal Corpse is like, that's like really heavy stuff. Wow. And they go that from J-pop. Do you listen to Megadeth? Because they had a J-pop period.
I also
Wow.
like baby metal. Dad got me into baby metal, and I love
I didn't get you into baby metal.
Yes,
you
you
got
did.
you got yourself into baby
No, you
metal.
didn't. You introduced me. to it.
Here we go arguing.
He's gonna be totally into like black metal by next year. Let's see.
That's cool. That's something good. That's an artist you like. So you gonna hang out for a little while longer, or are you?
I think I'm ready to go.
All right, she's gonna take off.
You did good. She did.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Talk. See you later.
Happy birthday.
Hey, thank you. I love you.
Love you too.
Get out of here. All right, man. Let's get to the topic at hand here.
All right.
Top 6 artists and their 6 album runs. We'll start from number 6. We'll start with, I don't know what's up with Chris, so he's having technical difficulties. So we'll just go, and if he gets back on, he gets back on. You know. So.
Yeah.
Eddie, we'll start off with you, man. Then we'll go Joe, Andy, and myself.
Just to clarify, so you want me to do all 6?
No,
One.
we're gonna go number 6 around, then 5.
Okay. Okay, I got it. But I named the 6 albums.
Yeah,
Or-
you're gonna, you're gonna say the artist that you want, and then you're gonna name that 6 album window, that and then
Do you
talk
want me
about
to
it.
say the window, or do you want me to say every album in the 6?
Yeah, you can say every album and then speak a little something on if you want.
Okay. Well, a spoiler alert right there. It's coming right now. Thin Lizzy. Because, I know some people might not count Nightlife. Well, those people are wrong because my Nightlife is fucking awesome. I love
That is
that.
an awesome album, man.
And it's the first time that Scott Gorham and, Robbo play in the band. So this is the beginning of the classic lineup. And I love fighting. And I understand why everyone focuses on that as kind of the beginning of the solidified sound. But there are elements here. You got Shana La 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 Affinity is on here. And that's really the beginning of the kind of dual guitar thing. And it's an eclectic album. It's great. To me, this is the beginning of a classic lineup. And regardless, on its own, it's great. Now, everything else, I don't feel like I need to justify it. But okay, Fighting, Jailbreak, Johnny the Fox, Bad Reputation, and Black Rose, A Rock Legend. I mean, all great, stellar albums. You said we weren't counting live albums, right?
Right.
No.
Right. Just studio.
Yeah. So 6 studio albums. To me, every one of these albums I would describe as great. And I love them all. And they're all go-to Thin Lizzy albums for me. To me, it's a perfect 6-album run. They dip a little bit after this, although still not bad. And, they had 2 other great albums after that dip. But technically speaking, if we're talking a streak, that streak to me, the 6-album streak, is Nightlife to Black Rose.
That's a phenomenal streak, man.
That's
right
great. Yeah, that's a great 6-pack right there. Yeah, it really is. All right, Chris, we're just starting. So start off with your number 6, buddy.
Wow. Looks like I'm actually going to be able to participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first 6-album run is basically the entirety of the career of a band that I don't know, some other podcast really loves, and that would be Galactic Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
So I picked their first studio album. So their first 2 albums, which is self-titled and Space in Your Face, are basically, if you like Metallica, like old thrashy Metallica, and then you added Beatlesque harmonies. That's what Galactic Cowboys sounded like for their first 2 albums on Geffen. And then they left Geffen Records and they went to Metal Blade and they started to change their sound to try and fit like the 90s. But they stayed with their core. Like they still stuck with the harmonies and stuff. So then they became kind of a more straight metal version of like Alice in Chains with more, if we get into like a musical discussion, major chord harmonies instead of minor chord harmonies. Like Alice in Chains kind of sat in that minor doom and gloom sound, whereas Galactic Cowboys kind of had more high end, way more Beatlesque, actually, is what I would put it as, more Beatlesque. So the names of those albums are Self-Titled, Galactic Cowboys, Space in Your Face, Machine Fish, A Horse That Bud Bought, At the End of the Day, and Let It Go. This is their first 6 albums. And they put out another album in 2017, which I didn't really like. So, but the first 6 core albums was like in the decade of the 90s. That was it. Their first album came out in 91. Last album came out in 2000. Galactic Cowboys. Phenomenal 6 album run, despite what lesser people would say.
Very underrated band, dude.
Incredibly underrated.
You know how I discovered them is I discovered them actually through King's X, actually, because they're almost. I mean, if King's X is underrated, Galactic Cowboys is really underrated because they're almost like kind of like King's X, like kind of like took them under their wing.
Yeah,
and King's X is not a huge band in their own right, but
right.
I think they're from because Galactic Cowboys are from Texas as well, right?
Yeah. So to me, like they're one of those bands. There's a few of them, but they're one of the ones that they're head scratcher to me. I never understood. If I look at the landscape of 90s metal and rock, it made no sense to me that they just never picked up the way that they, in my opinion, should have. With those melodies, with heavy songs, hard hitting songs, but also like very accessible stuff. I don't know, man. Like there was just something about them that I guess didn't sit right with people. But I saw them open for Dream Theater on the Awake tour. That's how I picked them up, and it's been a love fest since. Love that band.
Oh wow, cool. That's odd because when bands that came out in the 90s, it was really all systems go, like the 70s. Anything can come out and can become a hit. Is how the 90s were. There was all types of music coming out that made it, which is odd that a band like that wouldn't. I heard their second album from your recommendation, and I quite liked it very well.
Space in Your Face is so good. Ooh, that's their best album.
Ride through it.
Didn't Jerry Gaskill actually play on one of their albums or something?
He might have played a song or two, but I know Wally Farkas, their guitarist, definitely played on the King's X. He definitely played on Tapehead. He was part of a lot of what happened with Tapehead. But as far as the other way goes, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, great pick, man. So far, man, 2 stellar picks, man. Thin Lizzy, Galactic Cowboys.
Hey, Joe. Jimmy James, you're right. Nightlife kicks ass.
Yes,
dude. You know, I almost picked Nightlife as like a nighttime album, like when we had the nighttime album show. It's kind of got like it's not a hard album. It's got kind of like a little more easier, like, but you know, it's not like a heavy album.
It has a couple heavy moments, but for the most part,
for the most part, it's a little more. You know, Thin Lizzy was just starting to. I mean, they didn't fully find their sound yet, but like you said, the classic lineup got onto that album, and then from then on, it was after that. That's when they really started hitting their stride. But Nightlife is a great album, though. It gets overlooked a lot, man.
It does.
Well, why isn't Jimmy James on this show?
I know Jimmy should be on this show. Hey, Jimmy, next time.
James on the show because he's throwing that's a great 6-pack right there.
Another 6-pack Kinks. Yeah.
And in fact, I spoke to Jimmy this morning. He'll be on next week.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, great 6-pack, Jimmy. I love those 6 albums.
All right, Joe.
All righty. Well, as you guys said, unfortunately, Jerry could not be here tonight, but I still will represent one that probably might have made his list, and that is a band that Jerry and I both share a lot of love for, and my first 2 picks are kind of a little bit related, so when I say what this is, you can probably guess what my next one's going to be, and that is the Alan Parsons Project, Tales of Mystery and Imagination, iRobot, Pyramid, Eve, Turn of a Friendly Card, and Eye in the Sky. The first 6 albums from the Alan Parsons Project, probably their most famous 6 albums. They kind of, after Eye in the Sky, took a little bit of a dip in popularity, but I think this is an amazing 6-album run. You got a lot of really well-known songs on here. Of course, the song "Eye in the Sky," games people play.
I was gonna say, which one has Michael Jordan on it?
yeah, this one. Yes. So all these are each album. The cool thing with Alan Parsons is all 6 of these albums are in some way a concept album. Loose concepts usually. They aren't like an overall story, but they are songs on variations of themes and things like that. And the first album is all based on the writings of Edgar Allan Poe. And then there's some different ones. iRobot is, of course, like a futuristic kind of story. What's really the single was "I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You," which I still hear on the radio sometimes. Some really great stuff on there. Pyramid, of course, is about like pyramid schemes, about like the corporate world and that sort of stuff. Eve is about women, just songs about women. And then Turn of a Friendly Card is all about a deck of cards. And there's different tracks based around that. And these are all.
I got that one. I got that one on vinyl, man. I like that album a lot.
Yeah, there's some really, really great tracks in all these. And what I love about the Alan Parsons project is they were it was Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson, but it was a big kind of menagerie of different vocalists and musicians that would come through. And so it's always different kind of unique sounds because they had guest vocalists. So, like, for example, Arthur Brown is on this album, as in like the crazy world of Arthur Brown is on this album. And just so many different guest vocalists, and it's really it's a unique kind of sound, and I really love it. So my first pick is the first 6 albums from the Alan Parsons project.
I've got 5 out of 6. I think I'm missing Pyramid is the one I'm missing.
That's a really good album. If you haven't checked that one out, that's definitely a good one to check out.
Yeah, and I've got Eye in the Sky on cassette and the rest on vinyl, but I don't have Pyramid. I gotta get to that.
Yeah, I love the fact that a lot of these picks are a little out of the norm. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody's. Yeah, it's great, man. This is cool.
Yeah,
So,
I tried to do my best to pick some that I thought other people might not pick.
yeah, I mean, like it's so hard to stay away from some obvious ones.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but I mean, I tried to like throw in some oddball stuff. You know, so personal, bands that like are never were not like Metallica or Zeppelin huge, but trying to give them some love. You know what I mean? The fact that Thin Lizzy, man, that actually it's the funny thing, man. The Thin Lizzy one completely slipped my mind. I didn't even think about them for this, and that's like one of the stellar 6 album runs that you just named off. And I'm ashamed of myself.
It's all right.
I'm glad that Eddie.
One of the first ones I thought of.
I'm glad that you picked it, man. It's great, man.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, man, go ahead, brother.
Yeah. I am going to start with my 6-pack. Joseph might leave after this, but I hope not. My 6-pack is going to start off with Weezer.
Okay. Have a great night, everybody. See you later.
He's gonna pull his best Paul Stanley.
Wow.
Everyone, good night.
The Blue album.
So is that the first one?
That's the first
the Blue
one.
one's the first.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're starting with 2.
I know people like the first 2 a lot. I know that.
And then Pinkerton being the 5th one. Al and I just did a whole show about this one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's generally, isn't that regarded as their best by most fans?
Yeah, it is.
That's their Paul's Boutique, universally panned in the beginning, and then became a classic.
Yeah.
And their 3rd release would be the Green album by Weezer, which this one was okay. It kind of took a step down.
Whoa, Andy! It can't be okay and be.
No. Hold on. I love this album though.
You think it's not you love it.
Yes, I love it. Yeah,
you gotta love it.
It just took a step down from Pinkerton.
Yeah, but that brought him back. But that really brought him back though with a big hit and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, okay. There were like 2 or 3 big hits on that album to bring it back because their second album, Pinkerton, was a commercial flop.
Yeah.
So that brought them back to good graces. Okay. And then they released a great album that is so underrated, but I absolutely love it. It's Maladro.
Wow, you got these all on vinyl too.
It's our 4th one. Yeah, man. I really love this band. And then the day this album came out, my wife and I were going around to different record stores to try and find on vinyl. We finally did late at night, but Weezer's Make Believe, which was their 5th one. This one's more
What's
of a
the hit
mellow
on that
album.
one?
Huh?
What's the big hit on that one?
This one had a couple of big hits. This had Beverly Hills.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
A Perfect Situation. We are all on drugs. Those
Yeah.
three were played on the radio on a regular basis.
And the one before that, Maladroit had Dope Nose, right?
Had Dope Nose, yeah.
Okay, I remember that one too.
Yeah. That was the only hit that came off that album.
Yeah.
And then their sixth one, and this 6-pack was going to be the Red album.
Justice. They look like the Philly.
Cowboys, yeah. This one here, maybe just about Pork and Beans and Troublemaker, y'all might have heard on the radio. But that's my
I heard
sixth
Pork and
one
Beans.
off with
Yeah, I heard
was
that.
Weezer's. So that went from the blue all the way to the red.
Gotcha.
Wow. So, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I think after that,
You
I
love
think
your
after
weed.
that they started going really up and down. Like they'd release a good album, then a not so good one, and in my opinion.
And then they changed their sound a little bit. They sounded more alternative poppy and got away from the crunchy guitars, and they've just been going so back and forth. I just stopped.
Yeah.
But you really love the first 6 albums there.
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh well, I can go 8.
Yeah, but you don't think the 7th and 8th ones are as strong as
No. I started at number 1 for a reason. I wasn't gonna shut out number 1 and 2 to get to that point. Now, I know that they put them together a lot with Green Day, which I can see why. But when Green Day did Dookie is better. Is the better album than Weezer ever released. But Weezer has more consistent albums than Green Day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that's a band that I've seen at least 5 or 6 times. I've seen them quite a bit.
Cool.
All right, man. So my number 6, Chris was talking about Galactic Cowboys before. I'm gonna go with the bigger brother, King's X.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
The
what
first-
run are you doing? I'm curious.
The first 6, man.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm going from Out of the Silent Planet. Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, which a lot of people think is their crown jewel.
That's
I
the dog,
mean,
right?
Yeah. Well, Faith, Hope, Love, King's X, the self-titled, Dogman, and Ear Candy. Ear Candy is a bit underrated. Not a lot of
Oh,
people.
I love that album. Love that
But
album.
yeah, that album is awesome, dude. And I think
Fucking love
it's right on par with like the first 6.
Every
mean-
song on that album is a jam.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, like the first 6 albums to me have no duds on them, man. I love every song on those albums. I can even go to Tapehead. If we're going 7, I could even go Tapehead. But we're 6. That's the Atlantic. When they were on Atlantic Records, those are the 6 albums that they were on.
Brother,
Yeah.
with the exception of one album, I could go 15 deep with King's X. Honestly,
I mean,
like that.
well,
Manic Moonlight is the only one that's like not
that's
stellar.
that's the one that's kind of not on par with. Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. But Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous is great.
Oh,
And,
one of my favorite albums of all time.
yeah, I mean the last couple, 15. The last one was a little.
The last one was weak. I didn't like.
Yeah, the last one was a little. I waited so long for that one, and it never really hit me hard. But
Yeah. No, they melted it.
but the first 6 King's X albums, man, to me, are just like perfect. And I mean, how the hell did they not hit it big? Is just like beyond me. Like Chris was saying with Galactic Cowboys, and even more so with King's X. I mean,
At least King's X had a minute, right? At least during Dogman, they had a minute. Like
Yeah.
Faith, Hope, Love, Self-Titled, and
It's Love,
Dogman.
yeah.
They had a second where people knew who they were, and then they gained all that notoriety, and then they disappeared, and now only musicians seem to know them.
Yeah.
Like you ask any musician in the metal and rock realm right now, they're like, "Fucking King's X kills." But you ask like a fan, they have no idea who you're talking about. They're like, "What? Who is that? I don't know."
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
So I wanted to shine some love on them, man. They're my number 6. So, all right, well, we're gonna go number 5, Eddie. Let's go, brother.
Okay, I'm glad that one of us is representing really big, well-known, famous classic rock acts, and that's me. Apparently, that's my job to be that guy.
I got you covered. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll be there in a minute.
It seems like
yeah,
we're the
wait a second
underdogs
for me.
here.
Listen, man, we're only at number 5, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, but now this band, no one's gonna have a problem with this band having a 6-album run, but I think people might have issues with what I think the 6-album run is. Okay.
I have that too.
Yeah. Okay. It's the Beatles. All right, but hold on. Just hold on a second. My 6-album run is with the Beatles. A Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver. It was a perfect run. Then Sgt. Pepper, I didn't care for. Yes, I know everyone loves Sgt. Pepper. I'm not a big fan of it.
Careful not to cut
I
yourself
get
on that edge, brother.
I get it. I'm not. To me, it sounds like Beatles go to Broadway. There are some great songs on it, but it's the only dip in an otherwise perfect discography because they got better again right after that.
That's wonderful.
But I love With the Beatles, which was an improvement on Please Please Me, which is good. It's a good album, but I don't think great. But from With the Beatles to Revolver, all great stellar albums. Beatles for Sale being the dark horse underdog fucking stud of the bunch. I love Beatles for Sale.
I love
Beautiful
it.
melody.
I hate that album.
A lot of people
love
do.
that album.
And I thought it was a dark horse. I even like Mr. Moonlight. I love that whole album. But obviously, I would say Revolver is the best of the bunch, but they're all great. And to me, the evolution of the rock and roll shit leading to Revolver being like the perfect eclectic, like what people kind of hail Sgt. Pepper as, I think Revolver is like that album. To me, that's the real shotgun blast that changed rock and roll music, you know?
You know what's interesting? It's interesting that is kind of a regular take these days.
Oh, that Revolver is bad. But
yeah, like the Revolver love over the past 2 to 3 years is really something. Like it's really pervasive and interesting. Dude, where do you fucking find this guy? Like you don't hear like Sgt. Pepper's had some decent songs on it very often. Like how often do you hear that phrase?
Yeah, it's got a couple good songs.
Yeah. Where do you find this fucking guy? It's great. I love it.
It's very produced.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Eddie, hey, listen, man. Eddie lives not too far from me. He's a Florida guy now. So
Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't hate it. Like
you Florida people are a little off.
It's definitely though. It's like awesome. Yeah, it's got some good songs. I guess that's where the streak ends.
That's my favorite thing that I've heard probably in a decade. You don't hear someone go, Sgt. Pepper has some decent songs. Like you don't hear that. Like that's a
drop off, man.
Led Zeppelin 1. I guess that was a decent album.
Hey, that's my thought. I'm not a Led Zeppelin 1 fan.
Oh, fuck you, Joseph. That was awesome.
Crazy. That is crazy. All right, I love it.
Like probably the craziest thing.
I love it, brother.
There you go, Chris. Enjoy.
I'm actually a Rubber Soul Revolver guy. Those are like my two probably favorite Beatles albums.
Okay. I love the White Album and Abbey Road.
I love Abbey Road. Abbey Road is probably
if I was gonna start a Beatles streak, it would start with Rubber Soul. Like I like the old stuff, but Rubber Soul was where they became the Beatles to me. Like that's when it became something different. It's dope.
See, I was almost gonna pick like a Beatles 6-pack, but I figured somebody was gonna do a Beatles. But my Beatles would have started at Help.
Yeah, Help and Rubber Soul is where most modern fans, I think, would begin. But I just, like I said, I like a lot of 50s rock and roll. I like a lot of old rock and roll.
Because I love Magical Mystery Tour, too, man. That's like one of my favorites.
Mystery Tour, I think, is better than Sgt. Pepper. So there. Yeah, so.
See, I was thinking about the Beatles, but I think the White Album is too spotty for me.
Oh, no. That's actually my favorite Beatles album. I love the White Album.
I love the White Album.
It's got everything. It's rock and roll. It's crazy. It's eclectic. Even the songs that kind of suck are awesome. I love the White Album.
All right, man.
So I'm gonna pull an Eddie here.
Okay.
Oh, I like it.
I'm gonna pick a band, and I'm gonna pick a 6-album run that no one's gonna see coming, and it's gonna be Kiss. Anybody want to take a stab at where I'm going with this?
No, I'm very
I would-
intrigued. I can't actually think of 6 great albums in a row from Kiss.
You can or you can't. Well, that's
No,
you.
I
but, you know.
can't. I can't.
Okay,
I can't.
so
I
I'm
was
going-
I was gonna pick a kind of controversial Kiss run, but I didn't pick one.
Yeah.
I'm going from Rock and Roll Over through Creatures. That's where I went. So it's Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun, Dynasty, Unmasked, The Elder, and Creatures. That is my favorite run of albums. You have the impeccable guitar work of Ace Frehley on Rock and Roll Over with that fucking Eddie Kramer production. Then you got Love Gun, which is, if I wasn't so skeeved out by Christine 16, it's pretty much a perfect album. I'm just skeeved out by the lyrics. It's not even a bad song. It's just ugh. I love literally everything on Dynasty. You
My
can't
favorite Kiss album.
3 Ace Frehley songs. I mean, label it disco rock all you want, but throw Save Your Love on it. You tell me that shit's disco all fucking day. That fucking song slams, period. The Elder, step off. I'm sorry, Unmasked. Unmasked is power pop brilliance. Fucking love that album. I love the entirety of that album. The Elder, Kiss shifts to prog rock and it works. In hindsight, it works, but it didn't like at the time. And then Creatures, which is an 80s metal masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. You can't go wrong with that run, even though most people will say that that's where Kiss lost it in that run, but I disagree. So there you go.
See,
Okay,
I'm-
Chris, I have your back in a way. I will say this. If you had to pick a 6-album run, I'm actually backing your run. But
I'm
I'll
actually
tell you
backing
what,
your run,
because-
too.
well,
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, this probably won't surprise you after what I said about Sgt. Pepper. Because what's Kiss? I don't like Destroyer.
I'm not a
so
huge Destroyer guy either.
That's Kiss's Sgt. Pepper.
I like the songs. I just don't like the production on that
It
one.
has-
I
like
agree with
Sgt.
you there.
Pepper, it has a couple good songs, but I think I picked it up good. But to me, I mean, I love the first 3 albums, and then Destroyer is kind of a bump. And I will say, every album on your list I like better than Destroyer. So it is and obviously it's a stronger run than what they would get into by the mid 80s. But I just don't love Unmasked and Elder. I think they're good. I think they're good albums and underrated, but I wouldn't love them enough to make it a streak for me, for example. But if I had to pick 6 albums where there was a streak, I think you're on the money. I think that's the most interesting period for them too, because musically they're doing a lot of different shit on it. And I do love the first 3 albums on that list, and I love Creatures. So there you go.
There you go.
I'm
Good
so
Kiss
glad.
list.
I'm so glad that you picked that run, because the run that I was originally going to pick was Love Gun through Lick It Up. That was
That's
gonna
not a
be
bad
my-
one either.
That
But
was
no
going to be
Rock
my
and Roll
6-album
Over?
run.
I have to include Rock and Roll Over just because my complete and total infatuation with Ace Frehley and his guitar playing came from that record. I can't deny that album as much as I try.
It's the greatest guitar tone, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
so fucking good.
That guitar tone. I know the songs might be not quite as strong as some of their
It's
other
all about
albums.
Ace. It's
But
all about Ace on that record.
That
Crunchy
was
guitar.
why I was going to go with Lick It Up over Rock and Roll Over. If
Yeah,
I
no,
would
I
have
agree
done
with that.
one-
Yeah, Look It Up probably does have better songs
I agree.
overall, but where Rock and Roll Over is awesome, it's like the most awesome Kiss has ever been.
Oh
it
yeah,
really
I mean,
is.
Listen to Ace, Mr. Speed, and Calling Dr. Love,
Dr. Love,
and I
See
Want
You in My Dreams,
See You in
Making
My
Love.
Dreams.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
my favorite Kiss album. I
Oh,
just stick
God,
with the
dude.
guitar tone alone.
The guitar solo for Love 'Em Leave 'Em is like
Oh
all
yeah,
fucking
Oh
time.
God,
All
yes.
time.
and it's
all
so
time.
hilarious that is the only album of the original run of Kiss that Ace Frehley had no writing credits on.
No writing credits at all.
Weird,
Not
I
one.
know,
none.
because his
Not
personality is all over it. But
No, if you read Paul Stanley's book, according to him, the band was barely together at that point. Like
Oh,
they had
yeah.
to wake Ace up to do fucking solos.
Well, I mean that
that's
was
the way to
what,
do it.
Destroyer. Dick Wagner did Sweet Pain because Ace Frehley just didn't show up.
Right. Yeah. The stories of Kiss are something. I
Oh
can't wait
yes.
for Ace's book to come out.
I
I
mean,
wanted
his
to
sec-
do one.
He already had one.
Yeah, I
already
wanted
has
to do a better one. That one's not that good. I wanted
You
to do a
didn't like
better one.
you didn't
I
like
wanted-
No Regrets.
I wanted to be more truthful. I think there's more. There's got to be
Okay,
more.
then you're never gonna get it from Ace, because especially he's even more out of the sky nowadays than he was 10 years ago.
Ah. You know,
All right,
like
Joe.
I think Tim Burton actually modeled his aliens from Mars Attack on Ace Frehley. I think that's what happened.
Yep.
All
But
right.
some-
So my
But damn, man, Chris, dude, you made a great because I was like, you make a great case for that one. That's a great 6 album run. 'Cause I do love all those 6 albums there.
I pulled some shady shit later. So
Because no, that's cool, dude. Because Eddie makes a point, man. I'm not the hugest fan of Destroyer, man.
yeah.
You know, and the first 3 albums are my favorite. You know, I love the dark, evil kind of mysterious Kiss. You know what I mean? And then when Destroyer comes out, that's the beginning of cartoon Kiss for me. You know, the superhero Kiss kind of thing, which is, I mean, they still have great songs and albums and shit like that. But
I mean, I love all the songs on Destroyer. I just don't like the way they sound. It's the same.
no, there's a couple of duds on Destroyer.
There's a couple.
for me.
Yeah, there's a couple songs I don't like.
I mean,
on
I
this
mean,
album.
great Constipation. I mean, that's that.
That
I don't
song's
mind that song.
bad.
People hate that song. I don't
like
mind
that
it.
song.
I don't like that whole opening before it gets to Detroit Rock City. Like, I wish it was 2 different tracks.
See, I have nostalgia for that. I have nostalgia for
me
that.
too.
No, just get to the fucking song already.
I think Beth is one of the worst songs ever written by any.
See, that's the
any
only
band
song I
ever.
don't love. That's the only song I don't love.
That
That
is
is like, it's pretty enough, but you know.
It's like
My favorite
by
album
far.
this.
See, for me, Beth is like by far one of the worst songs that Peter Criss ever sang on, because he sang on a lot of really, really great tracks.
He does
And
elevate.
that
It.
is not one of them.
Gives it a little raspy
Yeah.
cat soul.
I love his voice. Yeah.
Oh
he
yeah,
he has probably the most consistent live voice they
Yeah.
have. Like that guy's was always on. His drumming suspect, but
Yeah.
but his
Well, and
singing was
Gene-
always on.
Gene as well. Gene has like one of the most, even to this day, Gene has one of the most consistent
Oh
voices.
yeah, I think Gene's the best singer in the band, in my opinion. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
say it was Peter, but I think Gene had the most range as a singer.
He does. You're right about that. Especially if you listen to like Dynasty and Unmasked,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get a lot of that high stuff.
Mhm.
And he did a lot in the 80s too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
listen to him like screaming on like Young and Wasted and Not for
Yeah.
the Innocent.
Or
and
Not
that
for
kind
the
of
Innocent.
stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Woo! God damn. Yeah.
Alrighty,
All right,
well
Joe.
there's our hour-long Kiss discussion this
Yeah, I'm
week.
done with
that.
All right, so my next pick is a very famous band and a run that I'm not sure a lot of people would pick, because one of the albums in this run I find to be extremely underrated, to the point where most people don't even realize that it counts as an official studio album from this band. And that is Pink Floyd.
Mm,
And my run
the final cut.
is Metal,
Oh, okay.
Obscured by clouds.
Obscured by Clouds. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Cloud. That's the one. Okay.
What's it leading up to? The
Dark
Wall?
Side,
Oh, all right, I'll shut up.
Wish You Were Here, Animals, The Wall.
That's
Yeah,
fucking
Those
dope.
6 albums. What a run. Because, and like I said, I mean, these 4 albums right here, no one ever needs to talk about for the rest of human history, because they've been talked about to death, and they're amazing
Right.
albums.
Yeah.
Right.
Obscured by Clouds is a sleeper album, man.
Yes, very much so. I think that it doesn't sound like anything else in their discography. It has some really cool, like, rocking instrumentals on here, but then there's some kind of like country-ish songs and some kind of more proggy songs, and just it's a soundtrack to a movie, actually. And I think it's a really underrated album in their discography, because most people, honestly, if you asked a lot of people that didn't really know a lot about the ins and outs of Pink Floyd, they would say that they went from metal to Dark Side.
Right.
That would be what most people think of when they think of Pink Floyd, is Echoes, and then, oh my God, Dark Side came right after that.
Yeah.
And people forget that this album even existed.
Like
But I think this is an extremely important album in their discography, because it showed a lot of growth from what they were doing before through to what they would later get millions and millions and millions of album sales doing.
Yeah.
So I really think that this is a really important linchpin in this run, that you go from metal through Obscured by Clouds into 4 of the most famous albums in history.
Yeah.
So that is my next 6 album run, is Pink Floyd, Metal, Through the Wall.
Okay,
But-
can I weigh in? That's a good list. It's I like that you mentioned Obscured by Clouds. I think that's great. This shouldn't surprise people with what I'm saying about Sergeant Pepper and Destroyer. I don't like The Wall. So
Yikes.
yeah, that's one of the albums I don't like. So to me, like,
Okay, so I got to read on you now, man. I got to
Yeah,
read
yeah,
on you.
So,
I don't even think
would
they're
you
very-
rather include this?
Yes, that's where I was going to go at. I would go Adam Hartmother up to
Animals.
Animals. Yeah, to me, that it's not quite enough to make my list, but it would be an honorable mention. Adam Hart
Mhm.
to Animals is a pretty great 6-album run.
It is great.
Yeah,
But
so
it's not on my
that,
list.
that would be my 6-album run. So you're pretty good. I even like Animals, so I can get pretty prog. But
fucking Animals is my favorite, man.
I love
Me too.
Animals.
Me
But
too.
something about The Wall,
Follow
to me, that's
here.
where it crosses over to Broadway. I just don't like it. I actually dislike that album more than Sgt. Pepper. I just never liked The Wall. I know a lot of people love it. It's Ralph Vieira's favorite album of all time. Mad respect to Ralph Vieira. I love you, brother. But yeah, for whatever reason, I just don't like The Wall. Just never did. But everything else, it's weird because I even love the album right before it. I don't know why, but just for some reason, just don't like it. But still, great run.
Yeah, you see,
With that one exception.
yeah, Pink Floyd did not make my list because although I like Obscured by Clouds, it's not strong enough for me to include it into a 6-pack. That's why, and I sure as hell wasn't going to go into the final cut. Do not listen to that.
No.
Do not
Oh yeah, that's like the scraps from The Wall. So that's like
Oh,
really horrible.
I think there's some really good stuff on that album, but it's not a solid album by any means.
No, it's
I really like it. It's not consecutive, but in I like that other soundtrack album, More.
More.
Yeah, More is really cool. The Nile song, that's actually my
I like
favorite. Pink
More
Floyd
better
song.
than Obscured by Clouds. No,
They're both pretty good. I like both that shit. I like Pink Floyd should have done more soundtracks. They were good at it.
Yeah, they were good.
Oh well, if you really want to get technical, you can go. What's that other sound? They kind of did another soundtrack as well. Doesn't get included in their.
Yeah, they did.
official-
I forget what it's called, but it was never like officially released as an album, I think.
What
Yeah,
was it?
the Zabriskie Sessions, I think it's called.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Zabriskie Point. That's
Yes.
what it's from. Yeah.
And
Oh,
so-
they did music for that for the Tony Iommi film. Oh, I have to check into that. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't like enough songs for an album. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And they did some other thing. It was like a sound. My friend had this on Laserdisc. It was La Carrera Pan America, and it was like a race, but they did like kind of the soundtrack to it, like a car race, which is probably a Nick Mason thing because I think Nick Mason was into cars, So there's look that up on YouTube, La Carrera Pan America, and yeah, the Pink Floyd did the soundtrack to that as well. They did these like kind of like underground kind of things, man. That kind of it's kind of cool. It's if you really dig deep with them, you find some cool shit. So,
Hey, Michael Lynch. Hey, what's up, brother?
Michael.
I-
All right, Andy, man, what do you got, brother?
Yeah, this guy, this next artist, I don't talk about enough at all. So I'm going to take a chance. Well, not a chance, but to talk about this artist. I love all 6 of these albums, and it ends with with number 6. After that, he got spotty for me. But I'm going to start off with Bruce Springsteen's second album, The Wild, the Innocent, and the Shuffle. Is what I'm going to start off with, which is their second album. And then from there, he went to Born to Run, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. I love Born to Run. And then after that, he had to take a little hiatus because he was in and out of courtrooms. The damn lawyers wanting to get their money. But he came back out really strong with Darkness on the Edge of Town, which is a really good album. I absolutely love Side 1. Side 2 is good too, but Side 1 I spent many a nights listening to. And then he goes ahead and releases a double album called The River, which is really good. Even for a double album, because sometimes a double album might sprawl a little bit too much. But this really does have a lot of really good collection of music by him. And then after that, after a sprawling double album that is really much all over the place, he scales it back big time and gives us a plain acoustic album called Nebraska, which is just him and I think he is alone on this.
Yeah,
There's just acoustic on it.
Yeah, it's very
it's just
very,
him.
very bare bones, man.
Yeah, the very bare bones, and then he comes out with a bombastic "Born in the USA." So this is my six pack.
You know how I feel about Bruce Springsteen, right?
No, I don't. Please tell me.
Let me
Are
tell you
you a
about
big fan?
let me
Do
tell you
you
about Bruce
have a different
Springsteen.
six-pack than I
Bruce,
do?
Bruce Springsteen pisses me off on a high level because if I could have figured out a long time ago, if I would have just wrote songs about my day, then I would have been a rock star too. Like the dude just talks about, and I got up this morning and I put on my shoes because I didn't want to wear my. He just talks like and it's brilliant. I can't shit on him. I just can't listen to it either. It's driving. I don't like Bruce Springsteen, but good call, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I know that's funny. I'm not huge. I would say I'm a casual fan of his best period, which is what Andy just discussed. I would say that's a solid 6 album run. Definitely, they're all good albums. Darkness on the Edge of Town is definitely my favorite. I really love that album.
Yeah, it's a good album.
Maybe Nebraska might be a close second. Born in the USA.
USA.
Yeah, USA. That country.
Born in Australia.
Yeah, that's a really kind of perfect like mid '80s pop rock album.
It really is. Yeah.
So
had like 7 singles, I think, off that album, man.
And,
Oh, yeah.
The deep tracks on there, like Bobby Jean, is such a great song. I
a
love
lot of
that.
good. I love Downtown Train and
Yeah.
but there's a lot of good shit on that. But yeah, definitely Darkness on the Edge of Town. I love that's like the only Bruce Springsteen album I full out love. I love that album. The other stuff I like, but I can hear it. Like I can hear that he at one time was a pretty solid artist, and that's obviously that would be his 6 album run right there.
Yeah.
What I will go ahead, Andy. Sorry, dude.
Oh no! I was just gonna say that we were just talking about all the hits that are on Born in the USA. The last three tracks on side 2 were Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark, and My Hometown. That's how the album ends, or were those 3 tracks.
It's good sequence too. It's
that's
probably my 3rd favorite album.
And you don't hear that very often. That like the last 3 songs of on an album are huge hits. Like that doesn't happen.
They don't usually do that.
It's usually like the waning light of day. It's like the last 3 songs of an album. I will say the one thing, like as much as I don't particularly enjoy Bruce Springsteen as a musician, he was a badass. Like I watch videos of him like performing live, and he was like a true I'm just here. Like he invented the scruffy beard, sock hat, like you know what I'm saying? Like he popularized that whole thing in the 70s and became like, I was watching a video of him the other night and I was like, I don't love this music, but God, that guy's cool. Like that guy's just a badass, so
yeah, that's a cool dude. He really is.
back in the day, he was the boss, no doubt.
I'm more of a Bob Seger guy, but Bob Seger probably does
Seeger's
not
dope too.
Seger does not have. He has albums I like better than Bruce Springsteen albums, but he does not have a 6 album straight run.
But his voice is just godly.
Oh yeah, I think Seger is more the real deal. But yeah, I mean, I like Springsteen, but Seger is like next level. But doesn't have a 6 album run like Springsteen. So there you go.
But I looked at Seger too, and I tried to figure out if I can make a.
Yeah, I tried, but yeah, he doesn't have 6.
It's really a 3 album run between 2 live albums.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
that's his run.
Speaking of which, Michael, we're not counting live albums, so unfortunately, Cheap Trick is probably not going to be on any of these lists. But otherwise they might be.
I was just gonna get to Michael's comment.
Believe me, I tried to figure it out, Michael. I tried to figure out how can I get Cheap Trick in here.
I got up to the first 5 albums. I got the first 5 albums, and then one on one, I was just like, no.
Well, I couldn't even get to 5 because All Shook Up.
No, I do. See, I love All Shook Up.
That's like their Sgt. Pepper. I don't like that. They even got.
Do you hate George Martin, Eddie?
Wait, you want to hear?
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Got the producer of Sgt. Pepper on it. Like how?
Yeah. Do you just hate George Martin?
People's worst album. He's
What,
all right.
what,
He's all right when they don't
What?
let him do too much.
he produced
Michael,
He
Beatles.
did too much in Sgt. Pepper. He's better when the Beatles like keep him in place. Like, hey George, let's like just record us, all right? Like,
But
don't-
Michael, I will say, if we were including live albums, then Cheap Trick could have definitely been on there. But you can't count live albums. It's albums.
I haven't. Let's just say I'd be surprised if Van Halen's on a few lists, but no spoilers. We'll see, Michael.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right, man. My next pick, number 5. Is that we're on number 5, right?
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
The whole discography of the Doors with Jim Morrison on vocals. To me, that's a perfect 6-album run. I love all. I grew up. My older brother was a huge Doors fan. I grew up on all those albums, and I listened to those albums, and I know them inside out. That first Doors album, through Strange Days, Waiting for the Sun, the Soft Parade, Morrison Hotel, L.A. Woman. That whole run right there, I think, is a perfect 6-album run. That was basically their career. I know they went 2 albums after Morrison as just a trio.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
Jim,
the Doors. The Doors themselves were the Scabs.
yeah, without Jim, it just wasn't the Doors, man. But that 6-album, that 6-pack with Jim, just iconic to me. You know, so I got to put the Doors on the list, man. And ironically, yeah, I'm going to be on the BS sessions tomorrow. We're picking top 11 Doors songs, and so I'll be on that show tomorrow. And then I want to. Real quick, we were talking about Ralph Viera before. I just want to send condolences out to him, man. He lost his dad, so I know him and his dad were very tight.
That sucks.
Sorry
to hear that.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry, Ralph, for your loss, brother.
Yeah.
So that's my number 5, man. The first 6 Doors album, the only Doors albums, 6-album run, done. They were gone. So,
dude, but that Waiting for the Sun, damn, that's such a good album.
fucking L.A. Woman, dude. Fucking
LA Woman.
God, man. It's just that first Doors album, though. I mean, shit, man. I was just watching not too long ago. I was watching Apocalypse Now, and the way they use the end in there, you know, I love it, man. It's such a iconic movie with using the Doors, you know, song. You know, great songs in there too. I mean, you know, it was a lot of great like '60s stuff in there. So.
Yeah, you know, when you talk about the Doors and their 6-pack, man, every album's different.
Yeah.
For that very short period of time, because what they did from 67 to 70, was that?
Yeah.
The
yeah. 71 was L.A. Woman. That was the last one.
71, yeah.
So the first album was 67. So 67 to 71.
Within that 4 year, and they toured a lot and caused a lot of havoc during that time. Woo.
Yeah,
great band.
Well, you know, bands released 2 albums a year sometimes back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's my number 5, man. So Eddie, let's go, man. Number 4, brother.
You're gonna love this. You know why, Al?
Why?
We had the same. Your number 5 was my number 4.
Wow, no shit, dude.
The Doors. Yeah, fuck yeah, the Doors. Perfect 6-album band. I mean, because they literally only had 6 albums, and they all were great. I agree with you. Now, some people think Waiting for the Sun's a little spotty, but I'm with Andy. I love it. It's great. Even the gay songs are awesome. I love them. I love Love Street's my favorite goddamn song on the album. That's actually one of the songs I sing drunk all the time. That and The Crystal Ship are 2 of my boozy walking home from the bar songs. The Soft Parade, controversial pick, because a lot of people, I know my buddy Richard Mellett, he doesn't understand. It's like, how can you hate Sgt. Pepper? And I don't hate Sgt. Pepper. I just dislike it. But it says, how can you hate Sgt. Pepper and love the Soft Parade?
Exactly.
Okay, because that is like the Beatles. That's like the Doors, Sgt. Pepper. Well, okay. For one thing, Sgt. Pepper's the Beatles go to Broadway. Soft Parade is the Doors go to Vegas. Vegas is much cooler than Broadway. All right, it's got the mob, especially '60s Vegas. It's got mob. It's got chorus girls. It's got a shady underground.
As a man who almost was a professional Broadway performer, I take offense to every time you bring up something bad is going on Broadway.
All right, nothing against it if it's your thing, you know. You know, you do you. It's just not me. But Vegas,
I
hey, some people
I like
think, yeah, some people don't like Vegas, but I was thinking there's a difference between Vegas and Broadway. Plus, you can still have this. Hey, Jim Morrison singing drunk throughout the whole album, so he adds this edge to even the therapy songs, you know. And you got shit like Shaman Blues and Wild Child. Like there's nothing like that on the fucking Sgt. Pepper album. So anyway, Soft Parade is fucking much better than Sgt. Pepper. Fuck that Sgt. Pepper shit. I love the Soft Parade. And fucking Jim Morrison, Sgt. Pepper, if Jim Morrison staggered and drunk and sang on some of the songs, it would have been a little bit better. But that didn't happen. It did happen for the Soft Parade. They were very fortunate because Robbie Krieger was writing all these really lame songs. But then Morrison staggers in like fucking Old Dirty Bastard and makes them awesome. Suddenly brings in all this irony and stuff that wouldn't have been there otherwise. I fucking love it.
Here's Waiting for the Sun, man.
Yeah.
Signed by John Densmore.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
Album.
Great. So the whole band, I love that fucking band. Perfect. My personal favorite would be Morrison Hotel these days. Love Morrison Hotel. But the whole fucking six-pack, perfect six-pack band. They're not just six-pack album. They're a six-pack band. Perfect six-album run. They were great. Jim Morrison was a fucking boss for the ages. They were out. All that stuff they did afterwards was fake doors. Don't believe it without Jim. But the first six, perfect albums. Love it. Great choice for both me and Andy. There you go.
Or Al.
No, I'm leaving.
All right, Chris, man, go ahead.
We got more.
And listen, Andy, take the reins for a second because I gotta run out real quick. But Chris, you're up next, bro.
Me,
All right. So, what do I do? Hi. I'm going.
No, go for it, Chris.
I'm going full extreme metal on this one. And I pulled some shady shit because I don't necessarily love the band's first album. I like it, but they had an EP that kind of announced their arrival more than their first album did. So most people remember their first EP, not these days because they're actually touring for their first album with their old singer, but and that is a band called the Dillinger Escape Plan. They are extreme. They're very heavy, very screamy, very aggressive. They have been described by their own guitarist as Mahavishnu Orchestra at like 175 mph. Like they just they don't slow down. I mean, they do, but it's just super heavy. Their first EP was called Irony is a Dead Scene. It had Mike Patton from Faith No More as the lead vocalist. And it's just insanity. And then after that, it's Miss Machine, Ironworks, Option Paralysis. One of Us is the Killer, which is their best album. And then Dissociation, which is a close second. All 5 full-length albums and the EP are just perfection, though. There's like literally not a bad moment to be found in this entire catalog, unless you hate extreme metal. Then it's awful and it seems like torture. So there you go.
Who are you talking about here?
The Dillinger Escape Plan.
Wow, Dillinger.
Yeah.
I got a story about Dillinger, man.
Well, lay it on me. Now's the time. It's probably the only time you'll ever talk about this band on this fucking
one of the
show.
craziest things I've ever seen live ever. And I'm not even talking on top of their stage show because they nearly like kill each other on stage. The way they fucking jump around, they
not
try
stop.
to like actually like hurt. It's like they almost try to actually hurt each other. You know, you got to watch out for swinging guitars and things like that.
Yep.
They're very physical on stage. But this one particular show that I went to, now a friend of mine, he knows Ben from Dillinger Escape Plan, the guitar player Ben.
Ben
and,
Weinmania.
We went to go see them in New Jersey. It was a little like festival type thing, and they were the headliners. Actually, they were the last band on. No, actually, Clutch was the headliner. They were second to Clutch, and so during their set or whatever, they're having like technical difficulties, like sound problems and shit like that. So they're kind of getting pissed off, and the singer, and he's like, he's talking about how his stomach is like bothering him and stuff like that. There you go. You got
Me and
pictures.
Ben Weinman right there. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go, man. Cool dude, man.
He's
I talked to him. I talked to him before the show, actually. So, anyway, during the show, with the technical difficulties, and the singer was like, he was complaining about like stomach problems and shit. And all of a sudden, man, he's like, "Would it be punk rock if I took a shit on stage?"
Oh,
right
this
now?
was that show. Okay, yeah, I heard about this.
All right, and dude, he jumps up on the PA stack, turns around, drops trowel, and bends down and literally takes a dump on the PA, the high PA stack, right? He's got his ass facing the crowd, so you see this diarrhea shooting out of his ass, right? And it's going down the face. It just goes down the face of the PA stack.
It's
And
fucking
there's a
amazing.
collective, like, it's just like this crowd goes silent, bro. There's like a collective, like, gasp, right? And like people just like are like, am I witnessing this right now? Like it's almost like you don't even believe it's happening.
That's like
And
some
then-
G.G. Allen level shit.
Dude,
Yep.
dude, he did that. He gets back up, pulls his pants back up, jumps back on stage, continues singing like nothing's going on. At the end of the set, you can start smelling the foul stench in the air because this was inside.
Yeah.
Like a small.
Probably a small place. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually a sports complex, like like in sports complexes that have like basketball courts and different like sports things. It was actually one of those rooms, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
then, dude, my friend and I, we just like looked at each other. We were like, "Did that just actually happen?"
Yeah.
I
I mean,
because I'm not deep into like Dillinger, but is that like a legendary story in like
yes.
Dillinger world?
Yes. So it's happened on more than one occasion.
Okay.
Where one of them will shit on stage. One of them definitely like threw it in a bag, like they shit in a bag, and it wound up out. It wound up out there.
Oh.
I was lucky enough to never be part of that. I did see a show where Greg purposely busted his forehead open, and he stops the song and he's like, "That's real shit, motherfucker." He just stopped. And then on top of that, what is sick about this band is that, like, okay, like you listen to Dillinger and like you'll hear the screaming lunacy, but like Greg Puciato is actually like one of the sickest vocalists, singers. Like he's like a Mike Patton disciple. He's on like that same level. He's incredible. Like with bands like Killer Be Killed, or he's in a band called Better Friends now. Better Lovers, not Better Friends, Better Lovers. And he's just incredible. Like I had the luxury of seeing their last few shows ever in New York City, and dude jumping off freaking balconies into the crowd, like it's crazy.
Yeah,
like,
they're nuts, man.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. They were so super cool. I mean, just to give you an idea, like Ben Weinman, I interviewed him for my radio show, and this was like a decade ago. I got pictures from like 2013, and we did the interview. It was all normal. It was all cool. And then at the end, I asked him to do a radio liner. I'm like, "Yeah, can you do a radio liner?" He's so no problem. And he fart into my microphone, and he goes, "That's the real flavor." And then he left, and that was it.
Yeah,
So that just gives you an idea of what we're dealing with.
yeah.
But the music is incredible. If you're into extreme metal, or if you can get past, like if you're someone who doesn't like the screaming,
They're very technical, man. It's
the shit is insane. It's so good if you just listen to it, like give it a shot,
All right, Joe, man, what do you got, bro? Bring us back down to a sane level here.
Oh yeah, we're good. All right. So the my next my number, what is this? 4, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the 5 albums that kept IRS Records in business, and the one that almost put them out of business. Murmur, Reckoning, Fables of the Reconstruction, Lace Rich Pageant, Document, and Green. First 6 albums from REM.
Perfect
One of the
6 album run, man. in
best-
my opinion.
One of the best opening 6 albums to any career. And of course, there's a lot of great albums after this as well, but I think these are the 6 albums that they never topped.
And the first EP too.
Yeah, you throw Chronic Town in as well.
Yeah.
But these 6 albums, that's just, no one was like REM in the 80s, and they were such a unique thing all to themselves. And these albums, just no one was sounding like that. And then by the end of the decade, everybody was sounding like that. And that was kind of when they decided to change themselves up a little bit.
Yeah.
They did what they did in the early 90s, but these albums, I don't think they ever topped. And I think that so many great songs from all these albums, but you just look through this for a band to keep such a solid track record through this much of a career, when you just have all these great songs, and a lot of this stuff wasn't even the stuff that got them noticed, but this wasn't like the first 4 albums really weren't hits. It wasn't until
They were underground, like, you know, you really had to like know, like, you know, if you didn't listen to it's like, you know, mainstream radio did not play them. They were playing on college radio stations. That was like the thing, man, you know. And yeah, man, hearing them, you know, I remember like having a couple of friends in middle school and into high school that were, you know, they liked a lot of that underground alternative stuff, like the early Cure and things like that, man. And like, yeah, REM, man, that was like, you know, it was like a buzzword. You know, it was like you had a sense that like this band was gonna do something. You know what I mean? I kept seeing like a patch on a jacket or like a scribble on a notebook, you know, cover or whatever. And I just sensed, and like the way some of my friends talked that were into that style of music, like you sensed that something was going to be big. And then, you know, Document really kind of broke them open, man, MTV and shit like that, you know. So yeah, man, I mean, that's a great run, man.
Joseph did REM. What was the run?
the first 6.
Yeah, Murmur through Green.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, you could kind of keep going after that.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, up until like Adventures in Hi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, to me, up until New Adventures, man, shit.
Yeah,
I love all the albums, man. But that first 6 is the cream, though. Is the fucking cream, then.
It's a good run. Good run.
Yeah, it really is. And it's pretty cool that you picked that, Joseph, because you've just been you're a newbie to REM, and to put them
you just discovered them.
Oh yeah, that's right. You mentioned that you were just getting into them.
Yeah.
Oh
like
yeah.
Months ago.
Yeah.
You went to a thrift store or I guess some used CD store and found most of those CDs, right? And you just snapped them up.
What's your favorite album in the 6?
Oh, probably Fables.
Fables. It's the darkest.
Yeah. That either that Reckoning or Fables are kind of
I'd go for Reckoning or Fables too. Yeah, both great.
I love Green, man. For some reason, I love Green. That's such a I don't know why, but I don't normally think of REM as like a summer band, but to me, that's kind of a summer album to me.
So like Orange Crush and Stand and Pop Song 89 and all that stuff.
Yeah. So it's a little more upbeat, but it's got some like cool acoustic, kind of darker stuff in there. Lyrically, I mean, Michael was pretty deep in that album, man, too. You know?
Did you get the Chronic Town EP as well, Joseph?
Yeah, I have it. Whatever the compilation was that they included it on.
Not Economist, but it was another one.
Dead Letter Office.
Yeah, that's the EP. That's the EP.
That's pretty good stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that CD.
Yeah.
Awesome pick, man.
Good pick.
Yeah.
I almost fucking put them on my list, man. Almost did. Andy, go ahead, brother.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all gonna have these guys on y'all's list, but I am going to do a Rolling Stone 6-pack. Now, where's this going to start, though?
That's the interesting thing, Andy. That's it.
I dropped hints last week on a couple of shows I was on. It's going to be dominated by Mick Taylor. The Mick Taylor era is my favorite by them. So, with that being said, we are going to start off with Beggar's Banquet. Is where I'm going to start off with.
All right.
And then from there, these were out of whack a little bit.
I love that you got the vinyls for all these. This is great.
We'll go to Let It Bleed, which was afterwards. And then from there, we'll go to Sticky Fingers. which is a great album. I absolutely love it. And I talked about this one last week for our midnight albums. Exile on Main Street. Being
Great
number
nighttime
4.
album.
Yeah, that's a great double album. It is.
In the nighttime, yeah, that's a,
Well, actually, the next one's a great nighttime album too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have Goat Head Soup. I loaned it.
Well, you gotta get that vinyl. That's one of their best albums.
Yeah. So he put it on a cassette for me, but the cassette's here somewhere. And then I'm gonna end my run with It's Only Rock and Roll, but I like it. I was very surprised by this album. This album here, it's easy to find, but I just kept on skipping it for years and years. I was like, oh no, I don't like that song. That song's just okay, so I'm not gonna buy the album. And man, I was pleasantly surprised of
yeah, I got Goat's Head Soup for you, bro.
There you go. He's got it.
there you go.
I got it too. I just don't want to feel like walking into the other room.
There you go.
But yeah, It's Only Rock and Roll. It's got Time Waits for Nobody. It's a great song. And also Fingerprint File. I love that song. That's a great song.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my run. Hey, was Mick Taylor in? Was
Yeah.
he on? Oh no! I know he was
So
on here.
he started. He's on one song and Let It Bleed.
Okay.
But Live With Me, he's on. That's it. That's the only one. But from Sticky Fingers to that last album on your thing, he's on all of them.
Dude, his guitar's completely
Oh,
different
he's my favorite lead guitarist of the Stones.
that they had.
I don't know people. I don't know anyone that doesn't like Mick Taylor the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like by far everyone's favorite Rolling Stones period.
Yeah, there's a few. You got a few of the old timers that are kind of like stuck on Brian Jones, but short of that, everyone's with Mick Taylor. Yeah, but yeah, that's a great run. We might come back to that, and I might have a slight variation. That's all I'm saying. But interesting.
I have a feeling I'm gonna steal a little more of Eddie's thunder in the future here, but my number 4, I'm going AC/DC. Now, the 6th album run is the whole Bon Scott era. Basically, it was High Voltage, Dirty Deeds, Let There Be Rock, Powerage, Highway to Hell, and Back in Black. To me, that 6th album run there is absolutely perfect. What can I say, dude? I mean, Powerage is my favorite AC/DC album. I'd love the whole. I mean, to me, there's no bad one. There's not a bad song in that whole bunch going up to Back in Black. You know, I can go. You know, I could have went like, you know. I mean, I love.
For
those about to rock.
For those about to rock, Flick of the Switch. I love. That's my favorite Brian era album. Actually, Flick of the Switch.
Well, then doesn't that make it an 8-pack?
No, but I'm just saying, like, if I was going to go beyond,
Yeah.
but that 6-pack right there to me is perfect.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, that's all I'm going to go. I mean, I'll let Eddie later on. I know he's going to have this on his list. You know,
I might not have it on my list because remember I said that if it exceeded 6 albums,
that you're not going to. Wow. Okay.
but they might get an honorable mention.
Okay.
Okay. So
All
I got.
So now,
I do got things to say about ACDC.
but I know like there's Australian releases. There's TNT and
Yeah, I'm counting like the international.
yeah, the international. So it starts at High Voltage there. That's why, yeah.
Yeah, which
I know Michael
the
Lynch. I know there's
international high voltage, which is
Yeah,
essentially TNT with like
yeah.
See,
So
for me, if I had to pick an AC/DC run, it would actually be the Australian Dirty Deeds because I need Jailbreak on that list.
it is.
It needs to be
they're
on
both
there.
good, but I do agree it's
The
strong.
Australian version's better.
Michael's an Aussie. He's just saying when we say high voltage, we mean TNT. The American or international version of high voltage is essentially TNT,
yeah.
but they swapped 2 songs for 2 songs from the Aussie high voltage. So
yeah.
that makes sense. So when we say high voltage, we are talking about TNT, the album that has TNT, Live Wire, It's a Long Way to the Top, If We Want to Rock and Roll, The Jack. That's all on our version of high voltage.
Hey Eddie, man, you have any of the Australian versions of the albums at all?
I have like digital files of them.
Oh, okay.
This
But I don't
this
have-
high voltage is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the high
Yeah.
voltage we're talking about.
Yeah, that's TNT. So because Michael Lynch has said TNT with a question mark. That's what we're talking about. So we are talking about TNT, but us Yanks call it high voltage.
Yeah.
I will when we get to honorable mentions, I will talk about ACDC.
Okay.
Because
But that's my sixth album.
Well, remember, I was being a purist about it. If I feel that a band exceeds 6 albums in a row, I did not count them. Now, anyway, so yeah, well, we're going to what Andy was talking about. Here's my 6, because the Rolling Stones, as great as the Rolling Stones are, and I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan. This is the only period where I think they have 6 great albums in a row. That doesn't mean good. Like there's some good albums and albums that I think are decent. But if we're talking about 6 albums that I absolutely love, this is my period. My run is very, very close to Andy's. It differs from just mine starts one album earlier and ends one album later. I start with, I know this is a controversial album.
And you don't like Sgt. Pepper.
Yes, I know. People are going to talk about it. I'm going to make, okay. I start with Third Satanic Majesty. I know. That's the Rolling Stones Sgt. Pepper. Yeah. Again, kind of like
it's a garbage it's a garbage version of it.
Yeah, by garbage, I mean much fucking more awesome.
One of the worst albums I've ever heard in my life.
Stones are fucking drunk, crazy, high on fucking drugs, fucking bluesy maniacs doing psychedelic music, so it's much cooler than Sgt. Pepper.
Oh, well, the Beatles were always on drugs, but they didn't let it seep into.
It's all fucked up. To me, I know people make the Sgt. Pepper reference, and I think a lot of that comes from the album cover and the fact that it was from 1967. To me, it's closer to like Piper at the Gates, of Dawn.
And I hate that album too.
Oh my god,
not me, dude. I love that album.
I love Sid Barrett.
Here's the 3D version, bro.
Yeah, I love it. Fucking cooler album cover too. Sgt. Pepper wasn't fucking 3D. Now, let me tell you something. This is all druggy and fucked up sounding. It's got Citadel, which is fucking awesome.
You find out later that Eddie was beaten mercilessly by a Sgt. Pepper record by like his older brother or some shit. Like somebody just like, fucking you like this shit, and he's like, no, I'll never like it, and that's where we are now.
I get triggered if I see mustaches. But anyway. Yeah. This request. It's fucking awesome. It's all fucked up and crazy. And yeah, I know some songs on it are kind of spotty, but even when they're spotty, it's kind of like the White Album where they're kind of fucked up and cool. And I mean, there's just a lot of great tracks on it. And it foreshadows a little bit of where they're going with Beggar's Banquet. The Lantern, to me, could have been on Beggar's Banquet. That's a beautiful song. I love that song. And it's cool. I really just dig that album. I used to not be crazy about it, but now I love it. To me, the Rolling Stones would have had a perfect run because I love all their early shit too. Between the Buttons, to me, is the one that's close to the Sgt. Pepper. That's a little too twee for me. There's some good songs on it, but that's the one album that kind of fucks up a perfect Rolling Stones run all the way from the first album up to Goat's Head Soup. Yeah, so my list is Satanic Majesty's Request, Beggar's Banquet, Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, Exile Main Street. A lot of people call it the Big Four, but fuck it, I think it's a Big Six. Because I love Goat's Head Soup. It's actually my favorite Stones album. So I love that album. It's just a murky, dark, really cool record. Yeah. I do like It's Only Rock and Roll. I think that's a good album, but I don't think it's great. I just think it's good, and I think it has some great songs. There's a couple things like Luxury and a couple tracks I'm not so hot on. I do think it's a good album, but I can't say I love it. So because of that, to me, my fucking top Rolling Stones run is their Satanic Majesties to Goat's Head Soup. But, we're pretty close, though, Andy. Yeah, we're only off by like one album there. So obviously the Big Four in the middle and Goat's Head Soup. You got all the ones that Jimmy Miller produced. You got to check out those fucking albums. So there you go.
See, that's where I'm at. I think it's a great 5-album run. I don't like Satanic Majesties, and I'm not a huge fan of It's Only Rock and Roll.
Yeah, listen, objectively, like if I was going to a newbie, I would definitely not point them to their Satanic Majesty. It's a wonky album, but I like wonky albums. So it's like the fucked up, retarded Sgt. Pepper. That makes me like it.
It's like the Sergeant Pepper that fell and hit its head. Got it.
Exactly. And that's like what Sgt. Pepper needed a little more of.
There you go.
Yeah, Jimmy.
All right.
Elton John was going to be on my list, but we changed this from top 10 to
But
top.
but Jimmy, that's a good run too.
That is
man.
a great-
That's a good
that's a
one.
great
I love Tumbleweed Connection.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great shout.
Yeah.
Good run.
Very
All right,
good.
Chris.
The dude, Elton John was on top of the world at that time. I mean, on top
Yeah.
of the world.
The top,
Yeah.
top of 50.
All right, Chris, go ahead, brother.
So I'm gonna take us out of the classic stuff again for a minute here. I guess I
That's
bring
great.
that.
That's
I guess
great.
I guess I bring that flavor. I had a hard time with this one because I didn't know. I wanted to shift it. I could have easily done like what is it? 1, 7, 8. I could have done 9 on this particular band, but I picked 6. I'm not as purist as Eddie is here, so so I picked Dream Theater, and I went from Awake through Octavarium. I basically had to choose between my 2 favorite Dream Theater albums, which are Systematic Chaos and Awake, and I couldn't leave both of them off. So I went with my favorite Dream Theater album, which is Awake, and I went from Awake to Falling into Infinity, which is a highly underrated album.
I love that
especially-
album. Man. I love
Especially in the Dream Theater realm. Dream Theater fans shit on it relentlessly, saying that it's radio Dream Theater and blah blah blah. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Sorry, Joe, you don't either. When it comes to this,
That album is the reason that Dream Theater's not on my list.
I guess
I
that
love
makes sense because it
Yeah,
sits
I
right in
love
the
that
middle.
album, man.
It's
I love
so
that
good.
It was my pick was going to be Images and Words through 6 Degrees.
And when you take into
Infinity
consideration that the album was initially supposed to be a double album because Scenes from a Memory was like a 30-minute song that they eventually panned. I've heard the demos and it was wonderful. But yeah, so Falling into Infinity, Scenes from a Memory, which is arguably one of the best concept albums you're ever going to hear anywhere. 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, which is a tremendous double album. Holy shit. Train of Thought, which is like, to me, pinnacle, this version of prog metal, like what we know as prog metal today. Train of Thought is the best heavy version of that. Like, if you want heavy prog metal without the screaming, you go to Train of Thought. If you want that same shit with the screamo stuff, Between the Buried and Me is the band you want to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
And then Octavarium, which is the song Octavarium might be the greatest, this side of 2112, the greatest 20-minute long form prog song I've ever heard. I can't get enough of Octavarium. So that's it. Dream Theater. That's it. Hopefully they come out with some good shit this year.
Yeah, let's see what Portnoy back in there. What they're
Yes.
gonna do, man.
Here's the hoping, man. Either they're out of sauce or Portnoy was the answer. Who knows? We'll see.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll find out.
All right, Joe.
Alrighty. Well, I'm sure I'm going to get a rousing boo from the person directly above me on the screen when I hold these albums up, because I already he kind of spoiled his thoughts a little bit before we started recording this, but I have to include it. It is the Godfathers of heavy metal.
Yep.
Sabbath. The first 6 Sabbath albums.
I love Sabbath. I just like
I
Dio
know.
Sabbath better, so that's why.
I know.
Oh,
The
yeah,
first
that
6
was a
Sabbath
good
albums.
run.
Can't get 6-pack out of the Dio Sabbath, buddy.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
I know it's sad. You put Never Say
Look.
Die on there? Fuck, dude.
No.
No.
No,
Sabbath.
I assume you're doing the first 6, right?
the first
Oh, I'm
six.
sorry. Okay, yeah,
First
I'm
six.
sorry.
There's
That's
no-
forgot.
fine. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot about one of them. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah. Nope. So Black Sabbath,
That's
Paranoid,
perfect, man.
Master of Reality, Volume 4, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Sabotage.
I always
What a
forget.
perfect run.
I always forget that Paranoid and the first. I know in my brain that they're
You
different
merge
albums,
them
but I
together?
always put them together. Always. I don't know why. So
Well, even if they were, it would be Technical Ecstasy, not Never Say Die.
yeah, that's true. I forget about Technical Ecstasy too.
You forget a lot more about
Great album,
Sabbath than you should. Don't forget Black Sabbath. They
I know. I no, I don't.
they
I mean,
died for your sins.
they should have been
They
with
did.
Dio from the start.
No. And here's my thing. Here's my thing. If this would have been or what it was originally going to be a top 10, I was straight up going to cheat. And my 6-album run was going to be Rainbow Rising, Long Live Rock and Roll, Heaven and Hell, Mob
You were gonna go
Rules,
Dio.
Holy
Gotcha.
Holy Diver, Last in Line. That was
It
going to be
would
my
go-
6-album
that,
run.
that is, but technically
That is a
they're
good
different
one.
bands.
That is a good one.
But
Though I was gonna cheat twice. I was gonna do
if
that,
you could do
and
a
I was gonna
six-singer
do.
run. If you could do a 6-singer run, you got it
Mhm.
right there.
I was gonna do that, and I was gonna do War Ordained, and I was gonna do the 2 Sanctuary albums and the first 4 Nevermore albums. That was what those are my 2 things. If it would have been a top 10, I was going to cheat, but we are doing top 6, so I did not cheat.
Gotta do
But
six
But-
packs, man.
Black
Break
Sabbath.
them apart.
Yeah. Well,
Black Sabbath
obviously
first was
that's
Black Sabbath
science.
album.
Maybe I will talk about that later. We'll see.
But that's
See,
crazy how Dio kept up such a high quality of music. Went from 3 different entities during that time period.
yeah, and
Over
he
what-
made
over
every
what, an
band
8
sound like Dio music, like even
And-
Black
yeah.
Sabbath.
And he made them all better.
Yeah,
I would say he made.
Well-
I don't agree that he made Black Sabbath better, but he made them great in a different way. That's
I
all.
will argue that he made them better than they were on these 2 albums.
Yeah, that I would. I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
But those first 6, Dio can't
Yeah.
touch those
No.
first 6.
No,
Just can't.
but
I disagree.
But
with
Heaven
that.
and Hell and Mob Rules are
They're
really
good albums.
strong out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're up there.
So originally, Black Sabbath was my number 1, but I dumped them down a little bit because the 2 that I'm going to yet to talk about, I like
Yeah.
a little bit more. So
Yeah,
Okay, interesting.
I wasn't gonna put Sabbath because I knew that y'all were, and I wanted to put in room for different stuff. Is it my turn? Is it?
yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Your turn, Andy. Go.
So I went with Frank Zappa.
Woo!
Where in Frank Zappa?
Yeah, no shit. Where?
That's the question,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'm really interested in what this 6 would
Andy,
be.
I know
I
what I
bet
would
you-
pick. So
I bet you any money we chose the exact same 6-pack.
It has to be the
You
70s,
think
right?
so?
Yeah.
I think we did.
I'm gonna start off with.
let's see, it
Grand
has to be the
Wazoo.
one size fits all band, right? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we did not choose the same 6-pack.
So I started with the Grand Wazoo, a wonderful, wonderful touch of jazz rock fusion,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll go to mainstream, and he'll give us Overnight
Overnight
Sensation.
sensation. One
then-
size.
From there, he gave us another mainstream.
Oh, apostrophe? No, was it one size
Yeah.
next?
No,
No,
Nope.
apostrophe.
One size is after that.
one size is
Then-
after the next album.
One size fits all.
Oh, so you actually skipped one. Okay,
Did I?
you did.
Wait, what? I am not.
What?
Wait,
Rock?
you did.
I'm pulling up Wikipedia.
I
Rock?
count Roxy. I count
I
Roxy
don't
because it's
Oh,
all,
no, we're not counting
Yeah, but
live
you can't do that. That's a live
it's
album.
all original material though. It
I
was
know,
done.
but
as
it's
never
not-
on
we're
another
not-
album.
Wow, that's rough. That's rough.
But it's a
Okay,
live album.
here's why I
Zappa does that
That's-
shit.
That's part of
That's a good point.
So would we count Time Fades
That's
Away
part
for
of my-
Neil Young?
that's part of Roxy is part of my 6-pack. That's why I'm saying it.
Well, I didn't count Time Fades Away for Neil Young.
Yeah,
Okay,
That's all new
you
stuff.
could have.
That's all live. Because
I know, but they said no live, so
Yeah, but it's like if you're counting Ted Nugent, is Intensities in 10 Cities part of that?
well, I
It's
mean,
all
I
original
would like
songs.
to, but they made the rules. I mean, that's my favorite Ted Nugent.
There's
album,
the
but
difference. There's a
they
difference
make it a
between like
rule.
saying there's a difference between saying "Kiss Alive" and
I don't-
Eddie,
I-
Eddie's
Roxy and
full of them.
Elsewhere.
Eddie's full of them, saying things that you don't hear very often. There's a few good songs on Sgt. Pepper. That's my favorite Ted Nugent album. I mean, you don't hear these things very often. You don't hear these.
Harry,
what I
he should
think.
be. He should be on that goddamn contrarian show.
Hey, listen, some of the shit I'm about to get to, everyone thinks. So there.
But Joe's right. But Joe is right about the Roxy. I didn't put in there it was because it was live.
Listen,
But-
Al specifically said to me, "No live albums."
Yeah,
So
I didn't think of these sort of
I
anomalies. Though.
understand
There are a
what
few.
you're saying. Hey, if you watch my Neil Young video, you know that I made a case for why I count Time Fades Away as conceptually as an album.
Right.
But I wasn't going to get that complex and deep on the show. Al just said no live album, so I thought, oh, better just to not.
Because the
do it.
majority of live albums is like
It's
taken from
greatest hits.
studio. There are exceptions. Yeah, I know, Joe. I know.
Well, conceptually speaking, conceptually speaking, it's a little different. But
Yeah.
still-
Guys, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This is just a bit of like coincidence or something. But like literally the top post on my Facebook newsfeed right now is a meme that literally says Kid Rock is Ted Nugent without the talent, but so is Ted Nugent.
That's wrong.
I swear to God.
Ted Nugent was very talented for the 70s and early 80s. So that's
So anyway,
that's fake.
Andy,
That's
continue
fake-
your list.
that's fake news.
Sorry, Andy. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah,
I'm super
no,
into this
no
Zappa thing.
problem. So from there, like Joe was saying, we will go ahead.
I go on Wikipedia. Frank Zappa has put out so much music that when you click Frank Zappa discography, it just goes, hey, figure it out on your own.
Yeah, they're up to what, 130 something
60.
now?
Like, we can't
161 or
put
something.
this in a
Yeah.
contract.
No. When you click on this Frank Zappa Discovery on Wiki, it just says good luck.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Or they
Figure it
we
out.
don't
We
know.
need a new internet for that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Needs a
that's
Zappa
the one
web.
Wikipedia doesn't know. But let me continue on with Bongo Fury.
Bongo Fury. That's
Yeah,
another
okay,
live one. That
That's
See,
a
that's
live
a live
album.
one.
That's
a live album. And so was Roxy.
Oh, Zappa recorded half his stuff live, and
He
then
did.
I mean, how
He did.
Purple Rain,
This
Prince,
was
some of those
partial,
guys
though.
were live.
This was
Okay,
partial.
one song was not live.
One song was not live. That's it.
That's a part. And then I finished off with Zuda Lures.
It's pretty good.
That's a
Pretty
great
good
run.
Oh.
That's probably my favorite run too.
Hey, listen. Leave it to Zappa to fuck it all up, bro. You know?
Yeah, of course. Zappa has to mess everything up.
Well, he actually had a
I would start a
He
little
had
earlier, but then again, then we wouldn't have gotten to that one. So,
He's
shit.
gotten
Yeah, you might have more than 6 in a row, I guess.
I mean, to be fair,
unconventional.
Zappa created a style of recording where he would take cuts from live albums or like live performances and just splice them into his studio recordings.
Yeah.
It's a technique that he
It's tough to
developed.
beat, dude.
Yeah, Miles Davis did Live Evil. Like, is that a live album? But it's like
I forgot
half live, half studio. It's spliced together.
Yeah,
So
he-
it is a gray area.
No, I
Zappa
forgot
would
what it's
literally
called.
just take his I can never remember the word, but he would just take
I'm looking
his
for it right
guitar
now.
solos. He would take his guitar solos from his live recordings and just stick it into studio
Yep.
tracks.
He'd fly them in.
And there
Yeah.
was there's a name for it.
There
and
is a
I-
word
and,
for
and it was
Fly them in. He'd fly them in. That's what it's
look up-
called.
I'm looking it up right now. You guys can
Um,
continue.
If you flipped,
It's the
Michael,
word-
if you flipped No Mean City with Play the Game chronologically, I'd be with you. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Play the Game's just good.
Yeah,
It's a good
that
album.
would be playing the
Yeah.
game was what kept me from putting Nashville.
Yeah,
on my
I think
list.
it's a good album. But if No Mean City, if that was in the place instead,
Yeah.
whew, that would have been a great 6
The word is xenochrony.
Yeah, okay.
That's the word for taking like live tracks and like or taking something from a separate recording and putting it into.
And now did
What
Yeah,
do
he
you
Neil
call it?
Young's
What
done
do you
that,
call
and
it?
Prince did that as well. Yeah.
What do you call it?
Xenochrony, XEO. Yeah, XENOCHRONY.
Yeah, well, Zappa must have made that word up. So it's fucking again.
yeah, I'm not sure if he created the technique or if he popularized it, one or the other, but
He
So
made
it's
it.
actually it's the etymology of the word is actually Greek. So it's the definition is like the words in Greek is like alien time. That's what the translation is. Because
he made
you're
that
pulling
up.
things. You're pulling. Oh, definitely.
That's what I love about Joseph. He's so smart and he drops this shit on you. It's great.
But yeah, he would pull stuff like pretty much all the guitar solos on Joe's Garage
Yep.
were live recordings that he
Uh-huh.
stuck into studio tracks, and a lot of, Shake Your Booty, the entire album was live, and he just cut the audience
Yep.
noise out of it.
Oh, that's a
So
great album too. I love
by
Shaggy.
the late 70s, most of his studio albums were actually just live albums that he cut the audience noise off of.
I think if you cut the audience noise out and you're kind of presenting it like a studio album with like the aesthetic of a studio album, and you're kind of putting it together in the studio, I think we can count it as a studio album.
Oh yeah, I think the Zappa thing is an anomaly. I think it's an anomaly, and
we're letting it count, Andy.
All right.
Yeah.
So
your list will count, and my list will count that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100% on board. 100%.
And guess what?
I mean,
my list is going to count next. Because never in my life did I want to reach through the screen and strangle Joseph as much as I wanted to fucking do just now. But it's my show, my topic, and it's my birthday, and it's a gift to myself. I am doing that Dio run.
Awesome.
Nice. There you go.
From Rainbow Rising to The Last in Line. I'm doing that goddamn Dio run. 2 albums each fucking band in succession. That's my 6-pack. Fuck you all, man. If you guys got that.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, it's your birthday. You can break the rules.
Yeah, that's right, man.
There was a lot of shared musicians across. Vinny Appice's on 3 of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shared musicians across. It
works. You just said 6 album run. You didn't say they had to be a band. So, like, if we're saying as a singer, a 6 album straight run.
I'm going a Ronnie James Dio 6-pack. Yes, Rainbow Rising.
As a singer, you
know, Heaven and Hell.
It could be the greatest run ever from a singer that jumps between 3 different bands.
I can't really think of any. Other artists.
I don't think I think Dio is the king in that.
I think Clapton might come close if you're going to count like Cream and like Derek and the Dominoes and
Blind Faith,
things like that. Yeah. I think that'd be like the closest one, maybe. But
it doesn't come close to the Dio output.
But the Dio run, man, right there, holy shit, that's like 6 classic, stone cold classics, man. You know, and I'm including that because I want to, and that's.
I'm so glad that you're incling it, Al. I'm so happy that you're doing it.
Yeah,
it's a great
son of a bitch.
Now talk about thinking outside the box. Those Dio. It's amazing.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm pretty sure that we've talked about it on a podcast before. That that kind of run of like albums.
I don't think we ever have.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we had, but I don't know. Yeah. I remember mentioning it somewhere.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes,
but there are 3 Rainbow albums, though.
There are, but the first one
you start with Rising.
Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Rising. Okay, I mean, but you could go 7 albums to because that first fucking one's great.
I'm not a huge fan of the first Rainbow album.
Oh, I love that first one. It's great. I mean, Black Sheep of the Family.
I do love it too, but I shifted it to starting with Rising. To me,
Rising is strong. I think that 6. Yeah, that 6-pack is stronger, but to me, you could go 7-pack because I like that. I love that first Rainbow album. It's got Man on the fucking Silver Mountain, his signature song.
I know, I love that.
Great song.
Yeah. All right, if you want to go Rising, the Last in Line.
Basically, that first album is Richie Blackmore and Elf, really, because it was.
I got it. You're saying like Dio had more influence by the time you get to the second.
Yeah, that's why Rising sounds so much different too.
It's so much better.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I love both, but Rising.
I like the first one too.
And Martin Birch came into the mix too. So
Rising is such a fucking monolith of a record to me.
There's no question if you're going Rising to the first Dio to Holy Diver. My question was just whether or not I would put.
Or it's Rising through Last in Line.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put Last in Line above Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. They're close. They're both.
I would.
I definitely would.
I think
I would too. I love Last in Line.
Yeah. But to me, it's a 7 album one. So there you go.
I don't know which one of you two controls this stream, but I left a message in the private chat, so if somebody can check that out.
Andy controls it.
Move on.
All right, Eddie.
Okay, well, this is where I finally have an opinion that I think will be shared by many people, especially people in the RMCP Army. There might be one album on this list that some people think isn't so hot, but it seems to have a cult following these days. And yeah, here we go. Van Halen, the Six Pack, David Lee Roth era, 1, 2, Women and Children First, Fair Warning, Diver Down. I'm assuming that's the one that might be debated by people in 1984. But Diver Down is not debated by cool people. It's fucking awesome. It's great. Even the cover. Dancing on the Streets, I'll admit, I'm not crazy about, but I love everything else on that album.
Which one? Which one?
Killer.
Diver Down.
Diver Down. Because that seems to be that's the only one I think might be debated. Maybe 1984 even by some people.
I think 84 is a little overrated.
If we're talking like I don't
actually
think
is.
I don't think it should be more popular than 2 Women and Children First and Fair Warning. By that sense, I don't think it's overrated. I mean, by that sense, I do think it's overrated. But it's still a great album. It's like one of the great mid-'80s pop rock albums, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's an amazing album. And I'm like looking at this kind of like the Doors. Like if we're talking about like the David Lee Roth era as a band and not like counting Van Hagar as a band, then it's like the Doors. They're kind of a perfect six-pack band to me. It's like they got 6 albums. It's all the albums are great. I will say that the first 4 are better than 5 and 6.
Perfection.
But I still love 5 and I still love Diver Down 1984, even though
there are songs on Diver Down that are like Hang 'em High. You can't like
Secrets.
Yeah, Where Have All the Good Times Gone? I mean, Diver Down is it's just got some really weak shit on it at the same time.
Guitars. Like I said,
Little Guitars is amazing.
And even like Dancing on the Streets, like I feel like there was a cool song there musically if they just didn't sing Dancing on the Streets over it. Like they should have made that. They should have made that an original song. Eddie Van Halen himself expressed that he was a little pissed off that they did that. Like they wasted a good riff. Like that could have almost been the Jump before Jump if David Lee Roth didn't sing an old timey song over it.
I just think there's too many of the little interludes and stuff.
I like the little interludes.
That's to me. That's where it loses me. I like almost all the covers. I love all 4 of the original tracks. It's just the little interlude-y shit that really just bugs me.
Eddie? What's your favorite out of that 6?
Fair Warning, definitely.
Me too.
Yeah, Women and Children First, a close second. I love Women and Children First, and 2 would be a close third.
Me 2 is the close second. Yeah.
For me, it's 2 and then 1 actually.
The first 4 are all so great that it's kind of hard. I mean, 1 has a little bit of burnout factor for me.
There is a burnout. Agreed.
Yeah. So generally, when I listen to Van Halen, it's 2 Women and Children First or Fair Warning. But Fair Warning to me is Pete Brown sound.
But you can drop Atomic Punk on me any fucking day. That song is just my God.
I really love Little Dreamer, and there's a lot of great songs on the first album, but it's a little.
I wanted to do a Van Halen so bad, but I just don't like Diver Down.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
That is the one.
But I love it. I love it.
I mean, for me, honestly, like everything up through Balance, except for like Diver Down would be the hang up for me. Honestly, everything up through Balance.
So you go even into the Van Hagar stuff.
Oh, I love the Hagar stuff. 5150 might be one of my favorite albums of all time. It might be a nostalgia reason, but like even upon re-listening to it, it holds up. I mean, the guitar work on Summer Nights is so fucking like.
The song 5150 is
5152. Like there's just so much. I mean, there's one bad song on 5150. Inside is other than that, that album is perfection.
But that title track of 5150 is fucking great. Love
so
it.
Good.
But that's what kind of stopped me for them was because I could have gone all with Roth and Justin, but because of Diver Down, then I could have gone Roth with the rest of Sammy. But Diver Down was in the way. I can make 2 different ones because.
Yeah, it's a personal. Objectively, I think the first 4 are flawless, perfect.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's actually arguably the greatest 4-album run ever from a rock band. But personally, subjectively,
Right.
I mean, I love Diver Down in 1984 as well. So to me,
I'm with you, Eddie. I'm with
Yeah.
you on that one, man.
Yeah. I didn't
Right.
mean to jump on you, Eddie. It's just that something I've been thinking about all day because I heard Diver Down twice at work today. Am I really going to stick to my guns and not put? Because I heard it back to back on my phone while I
some
was
really great songs on it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Oh yeah.
All right, Chris. I know you're gonna have to run, man. So why
I'm
don't
gonna
you
do
go?
my
why
I'm
don't
gonna
you
do
go
my
through-
last two because I cheated.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. My last two are cheating anyway. All right. And Al definitely knows where I'm going with this. Anybody else who knows me knows where I'm going with this. So I picked Rush twice. That's how
You
fucking
picked Rush Track.
because I could have gone 1 through 19 with Rush. Let's be fucking real,
You
okay?
did two different six.
Right. So my number two will be the run from Roll the Bones through Clockwork Angels, which came out today. Right? It's today the anniversary for
It's today's
Clockwork
Yes.
anniversary. That came
Yep.
out.
So to
Yeah.
me, the greatest closing album in the history of rock music. It is perfection on every level. I cannot get sick of listening to that album at any time. In that run, the weakest album on that run is probably Vapor Trails, and it's honestly just a production issue. The songs
The remix.
are
The remix is
Yeah.
so much better.
yeah, but still, even with the remix, you could hear that they were struggling. Like they just weren't right. They just weren't right. They were just coming back. So you can hear it, but the songs are so good. Like the songs are so intricate and
A lot of passion in this. song.
emotional. Yeah, very angry and emotional in the whole thing. So, but Vapor Trails is probably the weakest album on that run.
I think it's Roll the Bones.
Roll the Bones is a close second in terms of weakest album, only because I don't love the song Neurotica, but the rest of the album I love. Also, it's got The Big Wheel and it's got Heresy and it's got Bravado, three of my favorite songs of all time. So that's my number two. And my number one is Rush again, Hemispheres Through Power Windows, the greatest 6-album run in the history of music. I can't pick a better 6 albums to listen to with my spare time. And that doesn't even include 2112, which is Heresy. Yeah,
For me,
That's
you
kind of-
moved, you moved one album back.
Yeah, that's like your version of the Sgt. Pepper thing.
So no. It's only because I couldn't fit it. It's because
Yeah,
ultimately,
but you're saying that you think Power Windows is better than a
Farewell
lot
to
of really
Kings.
great Rush
yes,
albums.
I would stand by that. I would stand by that. The only albums that I think rival Power Windows, I've come to a lot of it. It took me 47 years to pick like 5 favorite Rush albums, let alone one. I can stand by and say the only albums that stand by Power Windows to me would be Clockwork Angels, Permanent Waves, in terms of the essence of that. And and then Hemispheres. That's 4. Those would be the 4 albums that if I had to be like, here, what are your favorite Rush albums? Hemispheres, Permanent Waves, Power Windows, Clockwork Angels. Those.
I agree with you about 3 of those 4.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. The fact that you love Power Windows so much, is this why you became friends with Mark Allen Taylor?
No. I became friends with Mark
Like only
Alden.
have 2 of you in the world. I figured.
That's not true.
People,
There's
really?
That's not true. Listen, so Power Windows is regarded by the band as one of their best albums. And then
more power to them then.
I know quite a few Rush fans who will they
have a cult following.
We're all very similar. I mean, not very many people would pick Hemispheres over 2112. I picked 2112 the song over Hemispheres the song, but I picked Circumstances, The Trees, and La Villa over the rest of 2112, if that makes sense. So that's how I balanced that out.
I agree completely.
Well, you didn't know like a Farewell to Kings, like there's just a lot.
Farewell to Kings is right before that. Again, it's just a matter of picking a 6-album run. I could have gone one. Actually, let's be fair. I could have gone 2 through 19 with Rush. The first album will always be my least favorite album. Period. But
I dig it, but I get it.
2 through 19.
You got to start.
I could go through the whole thing. That's it, man. That's it.
Well, that's the thing about Rush albums, man.
But hey, I like that you got your own take on things and that you're passionate about it. You know,
hell yeah.
And you're not just going to the canonized.
You should check out my channel. You'll understand a little. I have quite a few.
Well, plug it now, brother.
Redbeard videos, new videos every Friday. I have a daily video now, daily albums, 1 minute. Just it's a quick little informational thing and funny little tidbits here and there. So every day I'm posting a new reel for the album that came out that day. So if you look up on my channel tomorrow for June 13th, you can pretty much be guaranteed that that album came out on June 13th, whatever year I decided to choose. So that's my daily album, weekly, once a week, Friday. Live streams are on hold temporarily until I can figure out what the fuck is going on in the studio. And Al, most importantly, happy birthday. Let's promote good health and future birthdays for you, man, because I want to be back here next year and 5 years from now and 10 years from now doing this with you on your birthday. So
you got it, bro.
all right, man. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for understanding. Sorry I have to bail. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care, brother.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Later.
All right, man, Joe.
Joseph.
Yeah,
All
Chris
right,
is
so
a
this
cool
was-
guy, man.
Yeah, Chris is great. So
Yeah,
this was
cool guy.
originally my number one, but since we just had this giant debate about it, I might as well just say it now. Frank Zappa, I do start a little bit earlier. I start with Waka Jawaka.
Okay.
I do Waka Jawaka, Graham Wazoo,
Mm.
Overnight Sensation, Apostrophe, Roxy,
Rocky.
and One Size Fits All. That's my
Ah,
six
that's a
album.
fucking 6-album run, man. That's a great.
That is one of, in my opinion, it was my number one. So I think it is the greatest 6-album run, in my opinion. Just absolute perfection on those 6 albums. And I mean, when a man releases 63 albums during his lifetime, there's probably a couple different 6-album runs I could have chosen.
Oh yeah.
But for me, just absolute perfection here. The first two, Waka Jawaka and the Graham Wazoo, are both like jazz fusion with some really, really great big band stuff on here. I mean, so many great musicians on these albums. And then, of course, you start to get into more of like the classic Zappa stuff with Overnight Sensation, with stuff like I'm the Slime and Montana and Camarillo Brillo and stuff like that. And then, of course, Apostrophe with Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, the whole suite of songs, and Cosmic Debris.
First time I ever discovered them, man.
Yep. And then for me, Roxy and Elsewhere is just one of my favorite. Whether you call it a live album, I count it just because it's all original songs.
All original.
And
Yeah.
so many great stuff on here. Penguin in Bondage, Village of the Sun,
Hang on,
into Achenda's Arf of You. Great instrumental, Don't You Ever Watch That Thing. Cheapness, a great song about monster movies. Into Bebop Tango of the Old Jazzmen's Church is this kind of cool impromptu kind of thing. Just a really great album. And then, of course, possibly my favorite of all of them, One Size Fits All, with Inca Roads. I mean, what an amazing way to open an album, Inca Roads.
Yeah.
And the Sofa series. Andy is probably one of my favorite Frank Zappa songs. Florentine Poggian, San Bernardino, Can't Afford No Shoes. So many just amazing tracks on this album. And just as a whole discography, it's amazing. But this would easily be my 6-album run for Zappa.
Yeah. Good one. But yeah, you're right about Night at the Roxy. It's all new material. It's a new album. So,
I want to address Jimmy James Swartz. I thought about this, Jimmy James.
I did too.
But Agents of Fortune,
Same here.
think just good. There's some obviously great songs on it, but yeah, to me that I even like Mirrors better. I think it's more consistent. Although
Yes, I completely agree.
there are better songs on Agents, but yeah, Mirrors I like more as a whole album. But yeah, so that's the only reason. That's the BOC I did think about. I thought about BOC.
I could have literally gone the first album Through Fire of Unknown Origin without Agents of Fortune in there.
Agents is the stumbling block for me. It's like Destroyer with Kiss or Sgt. Pepper for the Beatles.
Completely agree.
It's my stumbling block, but everything else, great, all great.
All right, man. Andy, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, my number 2. This is another guy I don't get to talk about him much because nobody else wants to talk about him, so I can't make albums for him or countdowns for him. But I'll talk about him today. A 6-pack of Bob Dylan. Now, where do you start this? There's so much.
Yeah.
I started almost at the beginning, because this was the first Bob Dylan album I bought. I bought it because it was Bob Dylan, and I hadn't gotten into his music yet. But this made me a fan for life, and it's the second one, Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. It's a fantastic album. It's got Blowing in the Wind, the wonderful Girl from North Country, which he'll redo again with Johnny Cash, but not as good as this one. My Heart Rain's Gonna Fall. Side 2 is gonna have Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. I Shall Be Free. There's so many good stuff on here. This is a perfect album by him. Now every time we think about Bob Dylan, we think of him with his acoustic guitar and harmonica. Well, that really didn't last that long. That was just in the very, very early beginnings, but this was one of them. The times that they are changing, just acoustic as can be from beginning to end. Really good songs on here, but I like another side of Bob Dylan more than that one. Side 2 is just amazing, like with motorcycle psycho, My Back Pages, I Don't Believe You, It Ain't Me, Babe. And side 2 to this is just amazing. And then he will shock the world by going, side 2 is still acoustic, but side 1 is plugged in pretty much. Bob Dylan, Bring That Back Home. Like I said, side 1 is all plugged in. Subterranean, Homesick Blues. She Belongs to Me, Maggie's Farm, and then the beautiful Mr. Tambourine Man starts off side 2. Completely different from the Byrds version, of course. I think the Byrds edit out like 4 verses pretty much than the Dylan one. I've always liked It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, and It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. But then again, he will shock the world again with just another album called Highway 61 Revisited. This is just as powerful, like a Rolling Stone. Tombstone Blues with that great slide. Side 2 is just almost perfect. Queen Jane, approximately Highway 61 Revisited, just like Tom Thumb's Blues and Desolation Row. And then there's always controversy which album was the first double album. It was either Frank Zappa's Freak Out or Bob Dylan's double album masterpiece. I don't know what else I can say about this album, but it's really cool how this opens all the way. This gatefold. So that's my 6-pack run for Bob Dylan.
Nice. I will be mentioning Dylan when we get to the honorable mentions because I actually have a bigger run than that succeeded 6 albums, but not quite the order, although it does include a bunch of the albums you mentioned. But yeah, great run.
And as far as the controversy goes, I'm pretty sure Blonde on Blonde beat Freak Out by like 1 week.
I'm pretty sure. It's the first double album.
They were both in June of '66, and I'm pretty sure Blonde on Blonde beat Freak Out by like a week.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Both great. I can't choose which one I like more, Freak Out or Blonde on Blonde, because they're completely different, but they're so good. I'll probably have to go with Blonde on Blonde over Freak Out because there's too much noise and collage breakup on side 4 for me on Freak Out.
Yeah.
But Trouble Every Day. Damn, that's badass song. Yeah. Shit. You can still hear that song today and exactly the same. Isn't that weird that society is still the same from 1966 to 2024? It's like we haven't learned a thing.
Nope.
There's no way to delay the trouble coming every day.
Yeah. It's like almost 60 years of the same old. I don't understand. All right.
All right. Well, number 2, but Joe, Joe got it earlier. I'm going with the first 6 Black Sabbath albums.
Yeah.
For me, that's a perfect 6 album run. I love every song. Sabbath Play Sabbath being the crown jewel for me. That's my favorite Sabbath album of all time. But goddamn Sabotage. Anybody who says that Ozzy does not have range needs to listen to Sabbath Play Sabbath and Sabotage and get back to me. As a matter of fact, me and Eddie were talking about that on the way home from the concert the other night. And we were talking about the range that Ozzy had on those albums, man. And you fucking try singing that shit and you get back to me.
You try singing the fucking Writ. Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's hitting. He never sang like that ever again afterwards.
He
But
probably
man,
blew his voice out.
yeah, but man, like when people say he had no range, yeah, listen to fucking Sabotage, man. That's the great.
Hole
like,
in the Sky, Symptom of the Universe,
Yeah.
the Writ.
Fantastic in that. I mean, really, if you think about it, he made that album. I mean, it's because of his vocals.
definitely added, like it took shit to the next level.
Oh, dude, his vocals are incredible on that album.
That production, I think Sabotage has their best production.
That's why these two are my favorite 2 Sabbath albums.
Yeah.
It's these two.
Ozzy definitely did go to another level in those 2 albums.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, from the first album, Paranoid, Master Reality, Volume 4, man, that album was just so damn heavy. You know, God, man, it's just, dude, first 6, man. I think it's a perfect 6-pack. The cracks would start to show on the next one, and I love Technical Ecstasy, and I love the experimentation it really did. I mean, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but dude, bands change, man. And, you can't keep doing the same thing, unless you're AC/DC, but even they change.
Or the one that Eddie has on his hat.
Oh, Motorhead. Yeah, well, there's certain bands, it's the formula, that that keeps them going, But I mean, no, seriously, with the Sabbath ones, the first 6, perfection. That's my number 2. Now we go to number 1, right, Andy?
Number 1, guys.
That's his signature.
All right. Number 1. All right. Well, it's already been discussed. In fact, Andy, Al was just talking about it. Yeah, Black Sabbath, of course. Come on. Black Sabbath should be one. It's the greatest 6 albums. It's pure 6 albums because Technical Ecstasy, I think it's a good album, but it's not nearly as good as the 6 before. So there is a drop off.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it makes it kind of whereas these 6 albums they're perfect. They're perfect albums. Even a little stronger than the Van Halen. That's why I made it number 1. To me, this is the strongest 6 album run. There are few. I will say this: when we get to honorable mentions, there are albums where I think bands had more than 6 albums, great 6 albums run. But I don't think that there's a stronger 6 than this 6, in my opinion. This is fucking science. You can't beat these 6 albums. It's the ultimate 6-pack. There's that meme with the girl in the t-shirt that says you can't trust anything in life but the first 6 Black Sabbath albums.
I have that with I have a t-shirt with that, but it's Van Halen.
Yeah, and it works with Van Halen too. But yeah, Diver Down is a little bit questionable, although I do personally love it, but that's subjective. But Black Sabbath is both subjective and objective. This is a perfect 6 album run. Paranoid's a little played out for me, but it is a perfect album. Whenever I listen to it on vinyl, it's great. I love the first album. I think it's a little underrated. People don't talk about the first album.
Oh, love the first.
Oh,
The
yeah.
atmosphere of the first album, man.
It's got that doomy great. One of my favorite Halloween albums to listen to. My favorite is Volume 4, with Master Reality being a close second. But I also do love Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Sabotage. And man, yeah, it's perfect. I know there's some people that think it's like the first 4, but it's like, what the fuck? Why aren't you loving Sabotage?
So many people don't, especially for some reason, the Sabotage dislike. I've never understood it. People just do not give that album credit. And I never understood it.
I do think a part of it is because the representation on the greatest hits was
Correct. was
Yeah.
the worst song on the album.
Yeah, although I do like in the context of the album, it's a fun.
It works in the album, but if you're picking up "We Sold Our Souls" and the only song on "We Sold Our Souls" is "Am I Going Insane,"
It's insane.
you're
It
probably
should-
not gonna pick up the album.
Yeah, it should have been like "Symptom of the Universe" or "Hole in the Sky." Yeah, you know. So yeah, it's crazy that was. The
I like I'm
representation.
going insane. I think.
Yeah, I like it too. It's just
I like it in the context of the album.
Yeah, the context of the album. You're right.
Yeah,
I think we did a ranking of the tracks on Sabotage.
We did.
That was really good.
I love Sabbath. That's my third favorite Black Sabbath album, after Volume 4, Master Reality. But they're all masterpieces. The first 6 Black Sabbath albums are masterpieces. They're perfect albums. There's not a bum track on any of these fucking albums. Even Fluff, I like, although
I love that song, man.
I like
FX.
it. Yeah, the only and FX is really a song. That's like that's an open.
It has its own track,
which I prefer. It's like when I said about Kiss, like if they made that fucking noise before Detroit Rock City, its own track, I could skip it easily.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Sabbath knows how to do it, so I can skip FX if I feel like it. That's the way to do it. Awesome. Masterpiece. To me, it's science. It's the 6th run. The only thing I will say is that there might be a few bands when we get to honorable mentions that have exceeded 6 albums in a row. But if we're talking 6 albums, Sabbath's the top for me.
All right. Joe, number 1, man.
Why do you have to do it to me, Jimmy? Why do you have to do it? Why do you have to steal my thunder right before I talk about it? If you know me, you know what I'm about to talk about.
Foxtrot. Southern England.
The exact run that Jimmy just talked about.
Yeah.
Genesis, Nursery Crime Through Wind and Wuthering. Yeah, I mean, originally Frank Zappa was my number 1, but I bumped it down so I could talk about it more closely to Andy talking about it. But this is just such a perfect run for me. The epitome of Genesis for me, starting with the musical box on Nursery Crime and going through the end of Afterglow on Wind and Wuthering. That is Genesis for me. Just these albums are all so amazing, and there are some tracks that I'm not a huge fan of, especially on disc 2 of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. There's some stuff that I'm like, but overall, it's still just such a freaking amazing album that I had to include it because it's such a great album, and it's just an amazing run that covers multiple periods of this band's history, including the height of the Peter Gabriel era all the way into the early Phil Collins stuff. And I like a few things that came out before this. I like some stuff off Trespass, and I like a lot of the stuff that came out after this, but none of it ever got close to these 6 albums for me. And I think that easily this is one of my favorite 6 album runs is Nursery Crime Through Wind and Wuthering. There was so much amazing stuff. And as I always mention, I have to say it because he is one of the greatest live acts to still see live. To go and see Steve Hackett playing these songs live, it's must see. He brings so much energy to these songs, and it's so amazing to see him play those songs. But the band he has with him is absolutely phenomenal. Check out all the different live albums he's put out. I saw him do Foxtrot in its entirety. He's done Selling England in its entirety. He did Seconds Out in its entirety. It's his live shows over the past decade or so have just been absolutely phenomenal. And if anyone loves Genesis or even wants to know more about Genesis and hasn't seen Steve Hackett live or even seen clips of it, look up the videos. It will make you want to go see him live.
Yeah,
he does the he does the Gabriel Leonard justice, man.
Yeah.
I got Wyndham Worthington right here, man, signed by the man himself, Steve Hackett.
Well, look at that.
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
I got where I got his autograph down here somewhere.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's like
Yeah,
Genesis.
I know.
This is
Because I
great.
haven't heard it in so long. I said, you know what? I'm gonna pop that in there because I haven't heard
It's a
it.
great album.
There, I got his autograph on his last live album.
Beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They sell autographed copies at his concerts.
yeah, they do.
It's fine. This is a little like the BOC thing. Like if it wasn't, I like, and then there was 3, but I don't. There's a couple so-so songs.
Oh, definitely.
So what I'm saying, if you remove that, and if you want right from Wyndham Weathering to Duke,
Yeah.
then I would have started with Foxtrot to Duke. But
Okay.
yeah, but I think because I think Duke's my personal favorite. But
Duke is my favorite Genesis. Duke is my favorite Genesis.
But
album.
it sounds like we're on the same page. And then there was 3. It's a little, even though there's some great songs on it, it's not quite as perfect as what's after and what's before.
Exactly.
It's a little bit of a transitional album. So by that logic, if we're talking just a 6-album run, yeah, Nursery Crime to Wyndham Weather. Yeah. I also love Abacab a lot. I think
Yeah,
Abacab-
great album.
Fantastic.
I was just listening to that the other day, man, in the car.
Yeah.
Abacab, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great album.
That's really that was kind of my entry point into Genesis, was that, seeing the videos on MTV and, the early MTV, man, with just them jamming in the room, it was cool, man. I thought that was the coolest thing back in the day. Just seeing bands like kind of jam, in the studio. It was just those throw a couple cameras in the studio and make a video. You know what I mean? I mean, they call them promos back then, but
Yeah.
I like every like the misunderstanding video. It's just them driving around a car,
Yeah,
got a Hawaiian shirt on.
Or the Duchess
love
video where they're in the theater, and the Duchess video.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way with Steve Hackett. Steve Hackett does such justice to this material that I went out of my way to buy 8
Holy
live
shit.
albums.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Some of which are out of print, and I dropped some money on.
This is crazy. You know what's crazy about this, Joseph? Remember when we had our message exchange, and I just out of nowhere said, "Hey, how about the next time you come on the Rock Overview podcast, we'll do Genesis, dude."
Mhm.
I didn't realize how big of a Genesis fan you were.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. That's weird that of all the bands. I mean, I had a feeling you would be kind because I knew you liked prog stuff, but I had no idea you were this much of a fan.
Yeah,
Nor
Genesis
what's your
is my favorite.
Genesis album?
They're my favorite prog band.
Oh,
so-
okay. Well, we'll definitely do that in the next couple months.
Yes.
Well, Eddie's going with you because he couldn't get Patrick Bateman on the show.
Exactly.
So,
Well, they weren't talking about Invisible Touch, so
yeah, well, he does love Duke.
In the book,
he does love Duke, but
in the book, he does talk about Duke.
yes,
Yeah.
but they're playing in too deep in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie, they streamlined it a bit. And they played the hits. They actually played a Susudio, I thought.
Yes, they did, and then they played in too deep.
Yeah, and they kept it with the hits that people would know, but in the book, they get more in depth into it. But yeah, we'll definitely bring you on. Jimmy James will want to listen to that episode when we.
Oh yeah, Jimmy James and I have had many conversations about Genesis over the years.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Andy, bro.
Well,
Number
okay.
one.
Well, my number one, we all know that I was going to go with the Beatles, my favorite band of all time. But where was I going to start? What was going to be my stopping point? Well, I thought this was pure perfection. I'm going to start mine a little bit later than Ed there. I'll start off mine with Rubber Soul. And then from Rubber Soul, I will go to what we spoke about earlier, Revolver. Man, isn't this a great album?
Amazing.
Never get tired of this album. It's
One of the greatest rock albums of all time.
And then I will go to. I'm a big lover of Sgt. Pepper. I think it's great. Even were
Look at the contrarian over there.
There's some good songs on it.
So,
and then I will
man,
go
it's
to
great.
National Mystery.
Better than Sgt. Pepper.
I love that album, man.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Love it.
That's like
love
to
this.
me, that's like a sleeper Beatles album, man.
Yeah,
It's got more than just a few good songs. There's a lot of great songs on that.
yeah, it's beautiful actually. And then I'll go to the White Album.
My favorite, personally. Yeah.
Really
Love
good album. That's been number 1 or number 2 throughout the years, but then this one will pop into number 1.
God, I love that
Abbey
album.
Road.
Amazing. Yep.
It's a thing of beauty, man. It's from beginning to end. It's just, there's a reason why they're considered one of the greatest band by millions and millions of people. So,
if I would have picked the Beatles, that's probably the run that I would have done. The same run as you. I did mention before. I probably would have started with Help,
right.
but not including Abbey Road on there would be like, fuck, man, I can't.
Oh yeah,
well, you could have cheated and gone with the original British release and not included Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah, because Magical Mystery Tour was only an American release, right?
Correct. It was the only American album that was included in their official discography.
Yeah. So he found a way for you to cheat and get Help in there. But then does that mean he has to include the U.S. version of Help that has half the songs in Dumb?
No, because he would be using the UK editions, because he wouldn't be including Magical Mystery.
Oh no! Oh yeah, it's the other way around. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do it. That's right.
But I love Magical Mystery Tour. That's like the tour, the thing that tore me apart.
Give a little shout out. You say here are the 6 plus a shout out to the double EP. Magical Mystery Tour.
A double EP with a bunch of great singles released around the same time.
Hey, why not? I did a Ronnie James Dio 6-pack. Why not? Fuck it.
I like it. Try to figure it out how you can do it.
All right, man. Great pick, Andy. And in my number 1, you all know me, who my favorite of all time is. And what 6-pack am I going to pick? Because, like Chris before, there's many different ways I could have went, man. There's not really a Rush album I hate. I don't hate any of them. Some I don't like as much as other ones. There's a couple of rough spots in their discography. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like everything they did is perfect. You know what I mean? So, and I do like Power Windows, by the way. I do love that album, man. It's the next album that to me had filler on it. Hold Your Fire. That's kind of, there's a couple weak songs on that one, but I'm going to pick the golden period. I'm starting with 2112, Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, Permanent Waves, which is my personal favorite Rush album of all time, Moving Pictures, and then Signals. I think that 6 album was absolute perfection. There's not a clunker on him for me. I could have shifted it up one. Started with Farewell to Kings to Grace Under Pressure. I love Grace Under Pressure too, but
that's my honorable mention is Farewell to Kings through Grace Under Pressure. That's mine.
Yeah. So, but I'm going back to 2112 because really 2112 is when Rush really, really kind of broke out, man. And hell, I can personally go shift it even back one and go Caress of Steel to Moving Pictures. Because I love Caress of Steel too. That's the dark horse in there. That's the kind of an underground favorite of mine in their discography. But to me, the golden period, man, 2112 to Signals. That's if I'm gonna introduce somebody to Rush, it's gonna be within that 6 album discography right there. 6 album run. So that's mine, man. My number 1. So yeah, we'll do some honorables now. So Eddie, you want to go through some?
Yeah, I just want to say, if I think you make sense if you were like trying to get someone into Rush. Personally, I would go Fly By Night up to Permanent Waves. That would be the 6 for me.
See, that's another. I love Fly By Night as well.
That would be my 6. But I do like Moving Pictures as well. But the thing is, I like that album, and I love all the ones before that. Okay, I just want something that Jimmy James mentioned. The Kinks almost made it with Face to Face to Muswell Hillbillies, but Thin Lizzy beat them out. So just so you know, Jimmy James, I was thinking about the Kinks, but they just missed it. Another group that is they're two bands, but really it's like one guy that was fronting both bands. That both bands had a great 6-album run, and they were around the same time period. Is Parliament with Up for the Downstroke, up to Motor Booty Affair, great. All 6 albums are great, and Funkadelic, Free Your Mind to Let's Take the Stage, perfect 6-album run in my opinion. And they had some great albums too afterwards. But so both those bands had great 6-album runs. Now, here are the bands, and I'm surprised. It's interesting because there's 2 that I thought were going to be that someone was going to say, because they're 2 bands that people talk about their 6 albums a lot. But no one mentioned these 2 bands. And I'm curious why. But I had my reason was because I consider it 7-album runs. One is Led Zeppelin. Everyone usually talks about the first 6 Led Zeppelin albums are great. My problem is I love Presence, so I'm going 1 to Presence. I think the first 7 albums are great. That's the reason I didn't include Led Zeppelin. I don't know about
Can we go around real quick about, because I have a reason. I do have a reason.
I know you don't like 1 so much for some crazy reason.
I don't like 1, and I prefer In Through the Outdoor over Presence.
All right, yeah. So your list would be fucked up. That doesn't work.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Andy, why didn't
was
you
me.
pick Led Zeppelin?
I don't like side 4 to Physical Graffiti.
Whoa. All right. Fair
1,
enough.
2, and 3 are
It
perfect.
is the weakest of the 4 of the sides, but still
Yeah.
awesome. It's got Night Flight in the one song. All
But
right.
that's why.
Tough customer. All right. Al, why didn't you pick Zeppelin?
I just figured somebody else was going to pick them, so I kind of, it was going to be in my top 6, but then I'm like, I was going to be quote unquote controversial, and I did the Dio thing.
Yeah, well, I think
I replaced Zeppelin with the Dio kind of run,
So to me, Zeppelin had a 7-album run. That's the only reason why I didn't pick them. They were too good. Aerosmith, I'm very surprised.
I almost had them on there.
That generally everyone says, oh, the first 6 albums are great from the 70s, and then they go down the hill. That's generally what people say. But as me and Al were just talking about a couple of nights ago,
I bet you my 6-album run is the same as yours.
well, it'd be the first 6, but I love Rockin' a Hard Place. So that's 7 to me. I love Rockin' a Hard Place.
See, okay, then I
You like Rockin' a Hard Place more than the first album.
I do. My 6-album window with them would be Get Your Wings to Rock a Hard Place.
No, I love
I do like the first album, but I think it's not perfect. I think they were still kind of finding a little bit of a way there. There's a couple of songs, I like the first album. I don't love it.
See, I do
Get Your Wings is where I really started.
I agree. They got even better with Get Your Wings and with the next 3 or 4 albums afterwards, but I still love the first album. So in terms of love and great, to me, Aerosmith has a 7-album run.
Okay.
Neil Young has a 7-album run, self-titled Zuma. He would have had more if he had released more, because he had like albums he shelved that were great during that period. But in terms of what he released, he had a perfect 7-album run there. Bob Dylan, for me, and this is a little controversial because some people don't like 2 of the albums on this list, but I have an 8-album run for Bob Dylan. But to me, I do love the Free Willin', but I'm not crazy about The Times Are a Changin'. I never really loved that album. There's some good songs, but to me, it's another side, which I do love, another side of Bob Dylan, all the way to New Morning. I love Self-Portrait and New Morning. I know a lot of people hate those 2 albums, but I think they're great. So
I love New Morning.
So to me, it's another side all the way to New Morning. So that's an 8-album run. Judas Priest, too good to be on the top 6. They have a fucking solid, one of actually, in my opinion, the greatest 8-album run of all time is Sad Ways of Destiny to Defenders of the Faith. I love Point of Entry as well. That's usually
Point of Entry.
For me, it's British Steel.
Yeah,
I love British Steel.
Those 2
I'm
albums.
not a huge British Steel guy.
Wow. No, I love it.
That's what prevented me from picking Priest.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
No, I love it all. Everything from Sad Wings to Defenders, I love everything. Then we're getting to even past that, there's an artist who I have a video right out now, my newest video with Mr. Ian Wadley reviewing Prince's Dirty Mind. If you haven't watched it, watch it, motherfuckers. But I think Prince had a perfect 9-album run from 1999 to Batman. Yeah, I love Batman. I think people are hard on it because it's the Batman soundtrack. But
I
those songs-
was going to do Dirty Mind through Parade was going to be my 6.
listen, this is the thing. I think Controversy, I love Dirty Mind, as you know, if you watched that video.
I did.
I think Controversy has a couple songs that I think are just kind of I'm not crazy
Well,
about
then I could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
I could
that's
have
the only
done 1999 through Love Sexy then.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I mean, objectively, that probably is his best run.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And I do love the Batman soundtrack though.
I love the Batman soundtrack. I think it's really great. There's so many great songs. Electric Chair, Scandalous,
Mhm.
Vicky's Waiting, The Future.
Electric Chair is one of my favorite Prince songs.
There's so many great songs on that. I feel like if it wasn't a Batman album, like if it was just a Prince album, it would be considered one of
And
his
if
best
it didn't have Bat Dance on it.
Well, like
And I love that
it would have
song.
been like it would have been a different song, Bat Dance, but
It
it would have
would have
had
been.
that amazing. It's one of his greatest guitar solos. It's
Oh,
actually on
love the
song.
solo in there. Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean that to me is that's like kind of the end of peak era Prince. So to me, 1999 Batman, perfect 9-album run. Motorhead, yeah, we knew I was going to bring up Motorhead. 9-album run, just like Prince. Self-titled, first album, all the way to 1916. To me, all great, all awesome. I love them all. Iron Fist Rock and Roll, I love those albums as well. To me, they're all great albums. AC/DC. Okay, here's AC/DC. Now, I know most people would not include the last 2 albums I'm including here, but I love them, so fuck it. 10 albums. 10-album run, in my opinion. High Voltage, Michael Lynch, that's the Yank version of High Voltage. All the way to
TNT.
all the way to Blow Up Your Video. I fucking love Fly on the Wall. Blow Up
Really?
Your Video. Yes, I love Blow Up Your Video. So that's
I
to me,
do like Fly on the Wall. I'm not a huge video guy.
Blow Up Your Video had to grow on me over the years, but now I love it. To me, it's like the goat's head soup of AC/DC. I love it. It's kind of fucked up sounding, and it's not.
It does sound fucked up. It sounds.
But the songwriting's really good. The lyrics are some of the best that Brian Johnson ever wrote, and there's really great. The second side is especially good. Something for Nothing, Two's Up, Nick of Time. There's a lot of great songs on that album.
Yeah.
So to me, AC/DC to me had a perfect run from High Voltage to Blow Up Your Video, making them the greatest rock band of all time, in my opinion, because they had a 10-album run. The only artist that beats them is Miles Davis with 15 albums in a row that I love, ESP to Water Babies.
Wow.
Where
Yeah, but
he-
his
Free
discography is so fucked up. You don't know what's coming and going and all the stuff.
I put it together. I looked at it and I go, well, technically speaking, these albums were all released officially. I'm not counting things that weren't released in live albums. And yeah, a few of these albums do mix live and studio tracks like Frank
Mhm.
Zappa did. But to me, that's Miles probably had no artist living had more great albums in a row than Miles Davis, in my opinion. But so there you go. So those are my honorable mentions.
Joe, you got any?
Right. Yeah, so we went over a couple of mine as we were going through the list. Like I said, I wanted to do the Dio thing, but I did not.
I'll
My
just
kids-
like what Michael Lynch said. Sorry.
Yeah. My Kiss would have been Love Gun through Lick It Up. My AC/DC would have been Australian Dirty Deeds through For Those About to Rock. What was it? There was a couple other ones, but the one that really the Van Halen 6-pack I would have included, but I figured that somebody would talk about it, and it was just kind of I wanted to talk about these ones more.
It's an obvious one, man.
It is, and I wanted to talk about like if it was between talking about the Van Halen 6-pack for the 500th time or talking about the Alan Parsons project, I wanted to talk about the Alan Parsons project.
Yeah, it's good to put some shine on that, man.
But the one that hurt my soul to cut off, if there would have been a 7th, it would have been this, and that is Scorpions, In Trance, Virgin Killer, Taken by Force, Love Drive, Animal Magnetism, and Blackout.
That's a great six.
It is a great run. That's a great run.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't even think of that, man.
I did actually think about it. They were right before the Kinks. If I had went to another 6-pack, that might have been the 6-pack.
Yeah, and it covers two great eras of the band.
See, the Kinks for me, man, it would have had to have been a run going into the late 70s because I love low budget, man. That's how I kind of discovered the Kinks, man. Like,
Walkers was
Actually, with the Kinks, thinking about it now, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I love Kinks Controversy, which is right before Face to Face. So,
see, to me,
everybody loves in show business is a really great album.
To me, Kinks have two different lives, man. Like it's like the early, and then you got the kind of arena rock kind of Kinks that went in, like with low budget. Even before that, I think
that was a good album too at that time.
Yeah, and then you got the live album. Yeah, that whole run, man, into the early '80s. I love that, man. That stuff from the Kinks too. So.
Yeah, very underrated band. Definitely, if people love the Beatles, the Stones, and the Who, they should definitely check out the Kinks.
Yeah, I did get to see Ray Davies live once, and he was awesome, man. So
I did like that song that they came out with in the early '80s, "Come Dancing." I love that.
That was a big hit, man.
Yeah,
big hit you still hear that all the time.
Yeah. Is that it for you, Joe? You got any more?
The Scorpions was like the one that really pained me to cut. But like I said, we went through my Rush one would have been Farewell to Kings, Through Grace Under Pressure. I share a lot of your picks.
I think Virgin Killer, that it's a good album. I like it. Mm-hmm. I think it's the weakest of those 6. So that's the only
I would agree.
Yeah, that's the only thing that slightly held me back a little bit. If we counted that live album, the Tokyo tapes, definitely.
What's the first Scorpions one you went with?
In Trance.
In Trance is great. Yeah.
Because Flight of the Rainbow is the one before that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's good too.
But I think if it's Fly to the Rainbow or Blackout wins every day of the week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Andy, you got any?
Yeah, I've got a couple. This one was broken up, so I didn't use it. But since we did deal, I'll go ahead and do Tom Petty. And I'm starting with Tom Petty when he started off solo with Full Moon Fever from '89. Then from there, he went back to the Heartbreakers, and they did Into the Great Wide Open. Then he went back to solo and did Wildflowers. Then he went back with the Heartbreakers, and they did a soundtrack that I love so much called She's the One, which is a really good soundtrack. The movie was okay, a little bit boring for me, but the soundtrack was fantastic. And it was all new material. So that's why I went ahead and included that one too. I wasn't going to because it's a soundtrack, but it's all new material. And then from there, The Last DJ, and then what was that 6th one? I can't think of the title. It's not Lost Companion.
Hypnotic Eye?
No, Hypnotic Eye was the last one. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Echo, then The Last DJ.
Okay.
So that's my 6-pack for Tom Petty. I know a lot of people would have been a little bit earlier, but I really think that Tom Petty really hit his best stride later on, halfway throughout his career. I
gotta say, man, like he went out. His last couple of albums, man, were so strong. I loved Hypnotic Eye. I thought that was
Hypnotic Eye was good, and so was Mojo.
Mojo.
Blues
Another great one, man.
Oh, man.
And he went out. Fortunately, passing away, but he went out. Unfortunately, he went out great, man.
He went out doing his best music. Towards the end of his last 15 years on Earth, he put out some great music. So Tom Petty, Pearl Jam. I took Pearl Jam off after we changed it from a 10 to a 6, and we're talking about 10 was fantastic. So was Versus. Vitology was just the whole thing to itself. No Code was like a complete 180, and I absolutely loved it. I love New Code. And then they came out with a Brilliant Yield, and then they came out with Binaural, which was the first time I saw them was on the Binaural tour. So those are about the only honorable mentions I really had.
Everybody pretty much touched on a lot of the honorable mentions that I have, but there's 2 that nobody touched on, so I'll just mention those 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Maiden, the first 6 Maiden albums from the debut to Somewhere in Time. I love Somewhere in Time. I know some people drop off after Power Slave. I do love Somewhere in Time though. I played the hell out of that album back in the day.
It's like Sgt. Pepper. It's got some good songs on it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the.
Yeah, but Sergeant Pepper's a hell of a lot better than Somewhere in Time.
I love Somewhere in Time, man. I do love that album. It's after that where they started dropping off for me. You know, Seventh Son started the drop off.
Definitely.
Although I do have that album too, and I like a couple of songs on there. Somewhere in Time, I remember driving around and me and my buddy, who's a huge Maiden fan, we would jam that album all the time when it was new. So that's that one. I think that's a great 6-pack. And then the Ramones first album to Pleasant Dreams, but I can expand the Ramones to Too Tough to Die. I can expand it to 8 albums. I love all that stuff up to Too Tough to Die, which came out in '84. First album to there. But if we're gonna go 6, it'd be the first 6 for Ramones.
My problem is Pleasant Dreams. If you had either, because I do like the 2 albums after Pleasant Dreams, and of course I love the 5 albums before.
Yeah,
but Pleasant Dreams
is a bit weak for you.
Yeah, I mean, it has some great songs, but it's about half for me. Half of it's really great, and then half of it's a little weak.
Yeah.
So to me, I thought about the Ramones because I love the first 5 albums. Some people say just the first 4 albums, but I love End of the Century.
I love it. Yeah, I love End of the Century as well.
Yeah. So to me, they have a perfect first 5 album run, kind of like Cheap Trick has. Well, actually, Cheap Trick is just 4 in my opinion, unless you count the live album. So the Ramones have a great 5 album run, but yeah, I think Pleasant Dreams, to me, that's the stopper. Although it's a good album, I do like it. I just don't love it. That's all.
Yeah,
I do like the 2 after it. Subterranean Jungle and Too Tough to Die. Too Tough to Die, I think, is their best after End of the Century. That's a really strong album.
Yeah,
I love that album.
Yeah, so those are really kind of my 2 that nobody else. I had Floyd on here. Floyd was Metal Through the Wall. That was my 6. Aerosmith was Wings Through Rock and a Hard Place.
Hard Place, cool.
Stones was Beggars Through It's Only Rock and Roll. Actually, for Kiss, I did have the first 6 Kiss albums, but then when Chris did his, I was like, it kind of made me rethink. I was like, yeah, I think that kind of makes more sense because Destroyer is kind of like, I'm not the hugest fan of that album. It's got good songs on it, but it's not like total winner. So yeah, like that, knock that one out. Obviously, the first 6 Van Halen albums, I'm with you on that, Eddie. To me, I love that 6-pack, man. And then Zeppelin 1 through Physical, I had on here. But I agree with you too, man. I do love Presence. I love Into the Outdoor too, man. I
like Into the Outdoor. I think it's a good album. I like it. It doesn't have quite the Jimmy factor. It's like he's all fucked up on heroin.
That's all. That's a John Paul Jones dominated.
It's definitely if that was like a Robert Plant solo album, it'd be the best Robert Plant.
And you could see like kind of his solo album starting. You could kind of foreshadow his solo albums from that album.
Yeah, and I like it better than all solo stuff.
And I had REM on here too. From Murmur to Green, I had that, man.
There you go.
I think that's a perfect 6-album run right there.
Did Joseph fall asleep?
I don't think so.
No.
And that's the show, man. Thank you so much for being on. Eddie, what do you got to plug, brother?
Well, there's my YouTube channel, and like I said, there's a video right now. It's hot off the presses. Me and Ian Wadley discussing Prince's Dirty Mind and just Prince in general. Check it out. Watch it. If you're a fan of the Rock and Metal Combat podcast, fucking watch that. And just in general, and I'm going to do an AC/DC video, another AC/DC related video, where maybe I might make a case for blow up your video in the next month or 2. So keep an eye out for that. And there's also my podcast, the Rock Overview podcast with my brother, Eric Jordan, RMCP. And our latest episode has Ralph Fierro from the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast, and that was us reviewing Scorpions Animal Magnetism, the group that Joseph was just talking about. And that's a great episode. So check that out.
I heard that
And-
one. That's a good one.
yeah, and we got a couple good ones. There's one with Joseph, this guy right here, Joseph, that will be coming out in a few weeks, in which we are talking about my favorite thrash band. Some of you might know what that is and what band that is, and if you don't, well, wait and see.
It's
You'll
a New
find
Jersey
out.
band.
They might be from Jersey, so right that. Well, you know who it is. It's Overkill, obviously. So yes, we're doing Overkill's first album. We review that, and that's a great episode. I'm really excited for Eric to dig into that. There is one more episode before that, though, so that's going to be Kiss related. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's a really fun episode.
Joe, you got anything, man?
No. Thanks for having me on. Always love talking about music. This is a really great topic. I was really excited. It was kind of a brain teaser for a while, just to figure out different runs, because there's so many bands. When I was going through my list of like just pulling up because to prevent myself from buying duplicates of albums, I have an Excel spreadsheet of all the CDs I own.
Yeah.
So when I go to the store, dude, I have 1,000 CDs, literally 1,000 CDs. If I go to the store and try to remember everything I own,
And on top of that, vinyl and fucking
Yeah,
I love it.
500
I met someone who's more OCD about music than me.
so I pulled up my Excel spreadsheet and was going through artists and like just to think of artists and stuff. And there were so many that's like, yeah, these are so many amazing albums, but there's that one album in there that just like, nope, can't do it.
yeah.
Like Chris said with
Judas Priest
Judas
was that
Priest?
for me, man.
for me it was Dream Theater falling into infinity.
British Steel is like one of the greatest metal albums of
I think
all
it's a bit overrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, same.
I mean, if I had to pick, I actually like Point of Entry more than British
So do
Steel.
I. So do I.
I like the first half of Point of Entry. I like better than British Steel, but the second half, not as much. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Stained Class is better than all of them, but
Oh, more.
That's my favorite of all time.
Instant After Sin is also really great.
Yeah.
And Unleashed in the East kind of should count too, because the vocals were all recorded in the studio.
It's all old songs.
That's going too far.
But it's all new vocals in the
Uh-huh.
studio.
Well, then fine. We'll count Kiss Alive. We'll count
Yeah, Kiss 2 was-
every doctored up live album ever.
Kiss 2 wasn't even doctored off. They just recorded it in the studio and put fucking an element on it.
All right, man. Andy, man, what's going on with us next week? Got anything?
Next week on the Black Spinner Music Vidcast, we are going to be ranking the tracks on Van Halen's 1984.
Yeah, segueing into a Van Halen there. You know, it's cool.
Yeah, because Al has always said that Van Halen to him is a summer band, so I thought that I will say
1984 was the summer album for me in 1984 when I was 12 years old. I remember riding BMX with my buddies. We had that fucking tape on the boombox. That was just one of those summer albums that we constantly played. And come on, man, they were like the hugest band at that time, man. You know, I begged my brother to get tickets for the 1984 tour. He tried, it was sold out, and I kicked myself. I want to kick him to this day for not getting tickets for that. You know, I mean, I didn't see Van Halen until the next tour with Sammy, but I never got to see the original incarnation of Van Halen. It could have almost been the 1984 tour, but didn't happen. But anyway, that was the summer album for me. So yeah, that's going to be a great ranking the tracks.
Yeah, we're
So-
ranking tracks on Van Halen's 1984. We got
Yeah.
Brad Dahl with us that day, and
Yeah.
Jimmy Schwartz is going to be making his debut on Black Spinner
That's awesome. Yeah,
Big-
Jimmy.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be watching that episode.
Yeah.
on camera because he's always commenting on here. And I told him that this morning, you know, he's always commenting, watching. Why don't you
Come on the show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Great
did
dude.
it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for him to be on. That's great.
And then we are doing another episode of Three Shots Down. We just put one up. about Sam Cooke. That's our latest one, and we're going to start working on the tragedy of Leonard Skinner here in the next couple of weeks. Kate has something going on next week, and then Jerry's going to be on vacation. So we're going to hopefully get it out the week afterwards. So we got some interesting stuff coming up. Oh yeah, also me and Al, the Black Spinner buddies, are going to be on the BS sessions tomorrow talking doors.
Yeah, top 11 door songs.
Top 11 door songs.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, that'll be us tomorrow. And then that's really it, man. And then I'm gonna get filming another episode of my daughter, Knowledge Nerds. I'm gonna get that up this weekend.
Yeah.
I gotta get on the ball with that because a lot of people have been asking about more episodes. So people seem to like me and her together. So
Yeah.
I want to make it a regular thing again. So yeah, I got that, and then that's really it, man. So I thank you guys for coming on, Eddie, Joseph, of course, my partner Andy there.
And
Love you guys.
Chris,
Yeah,
All
and
right,
Chris,
wait. Happy birthday again, Al.
happy
Thank
birthday,
you,
Al.
brother.
and
Thank you.
also I want to say thank you to Jimmy and to Michael Lynch for staying with us and commenting almost every week. So thanks a lot, Mike. We really do appreciate it. We really do.
And
Peace
you
out.
guys have a great night, man.
Yeah.
Peace
Happy
out,
birthday.
brother.
Al.
Cheers.
Hey Al, stay on for just a moment. I gotta ask you something.
No problem.